Chapter 1. Early in the morning, a ray of sunlight shone from the east, passing through the mountains and falling on the white emperor city at the foot of the mountain, waking up this ancient city with a long history. Pung, pung, pung. Early in the morning, a teenager with his hands wrapped in a thick cloth and his upper body bare was practicing martial arts under a black pine tree that was more than 10 meters tall in the white emperor martial house. Heavy echoes reverberated around the black pine tree. After a long period of practice, a large part of the black pine tree's bark had caved in, and the fragments were stained with traces of blood, floating in the air. Scarlet blood flowed out from his cracked fist. It was a ghastly sight, but he was indifferent. I don't have enough strength. Why is my strength still stagnant after practicing for more than a year? The teenager with eyes as black as ink and a face as sharp as a knife bit his lips and muttered to himself unwillingly. Could it be that without a spirit beast, I am destined to be a useless person? No, I can't give up. I don't believe that after squeezing out all the potential in my body, I still can't break through the limits of my body. Thinking about his foster father, who he was indebted to, but was now buried in the ground, the persistence in the teenager's heart became even stronger. He clenched his injured fist and continued practicing. The teenager practicing martial arts was called Yi Chunfeng, a disciple of the Yi clan, one of the 4 great clans in the Zijin kingdom. However, he was not a direct descendant of the Yi clan, but a child adopted by the Yi clan. Although Yi Chunfeng's identity as an abandoned child was special, he had once brought pride and glory to the Yi clan. When he was 6 years old, he was tested to have a 6th grade talent, which shocked the entire Zijin kingdom. In the Zijin kingdom, most people did not have a talent for cultivation, and a 6th grade talent had not appeared in the entire Zijin kingdom for hundreds of years. It could be said that if everything went smoothly, Yi Chunfeng, who had a 6th grade talent, would definitely enter a sect to cultivate and become a person above others, with a limitless future. It was precisely because of Yi Chunfeng's shocking talent that the Ji clan, one of the 4 great clans of the Zijin kingdom, was willing to take the risk of forming a marriage alliance with the Yi clan, allowing their little princess, who had a 5th grade talent, Ji Qing, to be betrothed to Yi Chunfeng. However, God played a big joke on Yi Chunfeng. When he was 13 years old and tried to awaken his spiritual beast, he unexpectedly found that his soul could not form a spiritual beast. This kind of phenomenon was rare. Having a 6th grade cultivation talent indicated that Yi Chunfeng would have a brilliant future. However, in the soul fighting continent, it was not enough to simply have cultivation talent. Only by fusing one's talent with one's soul and forming one's own spiritual beast could one cultivate against the heavens and become a soul practitioner. Talent only determined the speed at which a spiritual beast could absorb soul power and grow. Without a spiritual beast, no matter how talented one was, it was useless. Just as Yi Chunfeng's life had fallen to its lowest point and he had become the laughingstock of Violet Gold Imperial City, his foster father, who had raised him since he was young, had passed away due to a bizarre illness. Furthermore, his name had been removed from the Yi family and he had been chased out of the family. After an unknown amount of time, Yi Chunfeng gritted his teeth and trained with all his might. His face was deathly pale, and his sweat and fog intertwined, becoming indistinguishable. Feeling that his body was about to collapse, Yi Chunfeng had no choice but to stop practicing and gasp for breath. Yi Chunfeng, you're still cultivating so crazily. Don't tell me you still refuse to accept your fate. You're squeezing out your potential like this in exchange for a false reputation. Without a spiritual beast, you're destined to be immortal. At this moment, a woman in a white floral dress with long black hair draped over her shoulders and a cold appearance appeared behind him. Her skin was fair and delicate, and she had a cold appearance. I'm no longer a member of the Yi family. My life and death is none of your business. Yi Chunfeng gently raised his head, glanced at her, and responded indifferently. The woman who had taught Yi Chunfeng a lesson was called Yi Xiling. She had a 3rd grade talent, and her spiritual beast was a ferret. At the age of 16, she had cultivated to a 4th grade spiritual beast. She was a well-deserved genius of the White Emperor martial house, and the pearl of the Yi family in the imperial city. Coupled with her extremely beautiful appearance and cold temperament, her body exuded a unique temperament. Her clothes fluttered in the wind as she stood in place, stealing all the brilliance. "You've grown up. You dare to speak to me like this?" Hearing Yi Qinfeng's cold reply, Yi Ziling's brows furrowed slightly with a hint of anger. "I just don't want you to waste your time on a piece of trash like me." After speaking, Yi Qinfeng laughed self-deprecatingly and turned to leave without looking back. Looking at Yi Qinfeng's lonely back, the anger on Yi Ziling's face completely disappeared. She sighed softly in her heart, feeling pity for him and also for the Yi family. "I still have 50 taels of silver. I can still buy some cheap medicinal herbs to heal my injuries." After parting ways with Yi Ziling, Yi Qinfeng directly went to the White Emperor Martial House's medicine shop. He wanted to buy some cheap medicinal herbs to heal his injuries and prevent them from accumulating and damaging his meridians. Walking into the medicine shop, Yi Qinfeng saw the charming Xiao Jingyuan wearing a black dress that accentuated her tall and graceful figure. She wore light makeup and was currently buying medicinal herbs. Xiao Jingyuan was the eldest daughter of White Emperor City's wealthy Xiao family. Back when Yi Qinfeng was in his prime, Xiao Jingyuan had been very close to him. But later on, when Yi Qinfeng's soul was unable to form a spirit beast, she gradually distanced herself from Yi Qinfeng. "Oh, isn't this our White Emperor Martial House's great genius? How come you're riddled with scars again?" Just as Yi Qinfeng was about to walk around Xiao Jingyuan and buy a few medicinal herbs from the Lin family, a strange voice rang out behind him. Di Wanxian, who was dressed in luxurious clothes and had a tall and straight figure, came in with 2 attendants. When he saw that the tall Xiao Jingyuan was also present, his gaze turned fiery. "I say, do you like to torture yourself? If that's the case, I can help you." Di Wanxian deliberately mocked Yi Qinfeng in front of Xiao Jingyuan to attract her attention. As expected, upon hearing Di Wanxian's voice, Xiao Jingyuan, who had just picked 2 expensive medicinal herbs, slowly turned around. She coldly glanced at Yi Qinfeng, who was behind her, and then at the domineering Di Wanxian, who was slowly walking over. However, Yi Qinfeng and Di Wanxian clearly couldn't attract her interest. After a slight pause, she turned around and continued to choose medicinal herbs that suited her. However, the moment she turned around, Yi Qinfeng quickly snatched the fan from Di Wanxian's hand and slapped Xiao Jingyuan's butt. Then, without waiting for the shocked Di Wanxian to react, Yi Qinfeng stuffed the folding fan back into his hand and was about to leave. Feeling her but being smacked, Xiao Jingyuan, who was in the midst of choosing medicinal herbs, trembled. Her mind went blank as a large amount of red flowed down her fair neck and covered her entire face. In the next moment, the furious Xiao Jingyuan turned around and saw the folding fan in Di Wanxian's hand. A surge of anger rushed to her head, and she didn't even think about it. She raised her fair and tender hand and slapped Di Wanxian's face twice. She gnashed her teeth and said, "Di Wanxian, do you want to die? Do you believe that I won't chop off your dog hands and cripple you?" No, Jingyuan, don't misunderstand. The one who smacked her but just now wasn't me, it was him. I was framed by him. Seeing the fire in Xiao Jingyuan's eyes, Di Wanxian was so frightened that his heart trembled. Yi Qinfeng stopped and said righteously, "Di Wanxian, a man should take responsibility for his own actions. Although Xiao Jingyuan and I are no longer friends, I still wouldn't do such a despicable thing to her." "Fuck, you were the one who did this. Do you dare swear that you weren't the one who smacked Jingyuan's butt? Do you dare?" Hearing Yi Qinfeng's righteous accusation, Di Wanxian was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He had the urge to choke him to death. "Di Wanxian, it doesn't matter if you were the one who did this, but you don't have to make such a big fuss and embarrass her. You might be shameless, but she still has her face." Yi Qinfeng ignored Di Wanxian's cold gaze and deliberately provoked him. "You." Just as Di Wanxian was about to make a move, Xiao Jingyuan, who sensed the mocking gazes around her, was infuriated. Soul power burst out of her mind and condensed into her spiritual beast, a golden-winged bird that emitted white light. Whoosh! An ear-piercing sound rang out as Qiao Jingyuan's golden bird turned into a streak of golden light and struck Di Wanxian's chest, breaking several of his ribs. PFFF. Chapter 2. Qiao Jingyuan glared at Di Wanxian, who was lying motionless on the ground with blood hanging from the corner of his mouth. She endured the tingling sensation from her buttocks and left without looking back. Seeing that Qiao Jingyuan didn't even look at him, Yi Chunfeng laughed at himself. If it was before, Qiao Jingyuan wouldn't have ignored him and would have tried her best to please him. However, everything had changed since he was expelled from the Yi family because his soul couldn't condense a spiritual beast. This made Yi Chunfeng deeply understand how cruel reality was. Become stronger. I must become stronger. Yi Chunfeng clenched his fists tightly and swore in his heart. Although he knew how difficult it was to become a powerhouse without a spiritual beast, he would not give up no matter how many thorns there were in front of him. He would move forward bravely. After buying 2 cheap herbs, Yi Chunfeng left the medicine shop. Although the living conditions in the White Emperor Martial House were very good, ever since Yi Chunfeng was chased out of the Yi clan, he had lost all of his sources of income. In order to save money, he had no choice but to rent a cheap courtyard in the outskirts of White Emperor City. The smell of blood. Why is there the smell of blood in the courtyard? Yi Chunfeng dragged his tired body back to the cheap courtyard. His sensitive sense of smell picked up the faint smell of blood in the air and immediately alerted him. Yi Chunfeng stood at the door, his eyes flickering as he looked for danger. Unexpectedly, under the only ancient tree in the courtyard, he found a corpse covered in blood. The corpse's chest was pierced through by a sharp weapon. It was lying motionless in a pool of blood. A dead person. Why is there a dead person in my house? Yi Chunfeng looked at the corpse in the distance and frowned slightly. He hesitated for a moment before walking over to check the situation. What gorgeous clothes! It seems that this person was a big shot when he was alive. When Yi Chunfeng checked the situation, he found that although the clothes on the corpse were badly damaged, they were very soft and smooth to the touch. Moreover, there wasn't a trace of dust on them. Clearly, these clothes had spirituality. He had grown up in the Yi clan and had seen a lot of things. However, he had never seen such a spiritual cloth. Judging from the clothes on this corpse, this person's identity was definitely not ordinary. No, I have to bury him as soon as possible. If his enemies know that he died in my place, I might be killed. Having made up his mind, Yi Chunfeng immediately dragged the bloody corpse to the backyard. He was going to dig a big hole in the backyard to bury him. While Yi Chunfeng was dragging the corpse, a cracked ring with a dark golden gem embedded in it accidentally fell out of the corpse's clothes. It was a ring that looked like it was made of gold, but not gold. This can't be a Cosmos ring, right? He remembered that the Yi clan also had a similar ring, and that ring was the Yi clan's heirloom. Ordinary people would not be able to see it at all, and its value was priceless. Yi Chunfeng was also tested to have a 6th grade talent, and he was fortunate enough to see him once when he was at the peak of his fame. Yi Chunfeng's eyes lit up when he thought about the universe ring and the fact that this person's identity was not simple. This Cosmos ring will be my reward for burying you, Yi Chunfeng said to the corpse with a hole in its chest. He picked up the severely damaged Cosmos ring. Kacha! Yi Chunfeng's right hand inadvertently exerted force and accidentally crushed the severely damaged Cosmos ring. A powerful restrictive force burst out, causing Yi Chunfeng's arm to go numb. The blood in his body roiled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire body fell heavily to the ground. If the Cosmos ring had not been severely damaged, which greatly weakened the restrictive force, the self-explosion of the restrictive force would have been enough to kill Yi Chunfeng on the spot. What is that? When the power of the restriction dissipated, the heavily injured Yi Chunfeng discovered that other than a squarish, pitch-black metal box and a few broken soul crystals, everything else was severely damaged and could no longer be used. Yi Chunfeng couldn't help but feel pity and heartache at the sight of this. I wonder what's in this black box. Out of curiosity, Yi Chunfeng opened the black box, revealing an extremely strange brain with slowly wriggling cells. A brain. There's a living brain in this black box. Yi Chunfeng was dumbstruck when he saw the blood-red brain in the black box. What kind of brain is this? Why is it still alive? In Yi Chunfeng's impression, a brain would die immediately if it was separated from its body. It would not be as tenacious as the one before him. This. Yi Chunfeng touched the blood-red brain with his finger out of curiosity. He suddenly felt like his finger was stung by something. There was a piercing pain. Just when he wanted to retract his finger out of instinct, he realized that his finger was being sucked by the blood-red brain. A large amount of blood was flowing into the brain. After absorbing the blood that was flowing out of Yi Chunfeng's finger, the blood-red brain cells became active. Beams of bloody light went into Yi Chunfeng's body through his bleeding finger. Yi Chunfeng felt like a heavy hammer had hit his head hard. His soul was shaken and he fell to the ground. The next moment, a heart-wrenching pain appeared in Yi Chunfeng's head. It felt like there were countless needles piercing his brain. Yi Chunfeng was in so much pain that he held his head with both hands. Sweat the size of beans kept oozing out of his forehead. He kept rolling on the ground and groaning. What the hell is this? Is it going to devour my brain? The intense pain made Yi Chunfeng feel like he was suffocating. He felt like he was going to collapse. Apart from the pain, he was more afraid. He was afraid that his brain would be devoured by the strange blood-red brain. If that happened, he would become a walking corpse with no consciousness. No, I still want to pursue the ultimate of martial Dao. I can't die like this. Yi Chunfeng, who was in pain, roared. His fingertips dug deep into his scalp. He tried his best to protect his mind and the last bit of consciousness in his mind. He was fighting desperately. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, although it was only a short 180 seconds, it felt like a century to Yi Chunfeng. Just when he was about to faint from the inhumane pain, a trace of strange golden blood appeared in his heart meridian and fused with the blood-red brain. The next moment, the strange blood-red brain miraculously stopped devouring. A large number of images surged into Yi Chunfeng's bloody brain. Just as Yi Chunfeng's brain was integrating these memories, the corpse whose chest had been pierced and whose blood was about to run dry suddenly opened its blood-red eyes. When it saw that the blood-red brain in the black box had disappeared and Yi Chunfeng's head was shrouded in a large amount of blood mist, its blood-red eyes were filled with surprise. Chapter 3. You're awake. When Yi Chunfeng slowly opened his tired eyes and woke up from his coma, a low voice entered his ears. You, how are you still alive? Looking at the mysterious man with a hole in his chest and a bloody wound, Yi Chunfeng's face was filled with horror. In his opinion, a person with a hole in his chest and almost all of his blood flowing out had no chance of survival. This strange scene was completely beyond his imagination. What? Do you want me to die? The mysterious man's eyes revealed a dangerous aura as he asked with neither joy nor sorrow. No, I'm just surprised that you're fine after suffering such serious injuries. Sensing the dangerous aura hidden in the mysterious man's eyes, Yi Chunfeng's heart tightened. He tried to calm himself down as he explained. Is that so? Then do you want to learn from me? The mysterious man asked with a strange smile. This? Yi Chunfeng's eyebrows twitched slightly as he said, Senior, do you want me to acknowledge you as my master? If it was an ordinary person, they would have been stunned by this pie that fell from the sky. However, Yi Chunfeng did not let this surprise get to his head. He knew very well that there was no such thing as a free lunch in this world. The vigilance in his eyes became even more intense. For me to be able to meet you before I die proves that we are fated. If you're willing to take me as your master, I will impart everything I have learned to you. At that time, when you are successful in your studies, even the monarch of this mortal country will have to treat you with respect. The mysterious man looked at Yi Chunfeng with a deep gaze, making it impossible for others to guess his true intentions. Although the mysterious man spoke sincerely, Yi Chunfeng caught a hint of killing intent in his eyes. He wants to kill me. Could it be because of that strange blood brain? A terrifying thought appeared in Yi Chunfeng's mind. All the hair on his body stood on end, and his legs involuntarily stepped back. What? You don't want to acknowledge me as your master? Seeing Yi Chun-feng continuously retreating, the mysterious man's expression became even more gloomy. His tone also became extremely cold, and the killing intent hidden in his eyes shot out without any concealment. Yi Chun-feng took a deep breath and pretended to be calm as he said, "Senior, the matter of apprenticeship is too important. Can you let me discuss it with my family before making a decision? Do you know who I am? Do you know how many people in the Duhan continent want to be my disciple?" The mysterious man asked in a low voice. To be able to receive Senior's favor is Junior's good fortune. I wonder if Senior can wait for Junior for a few hours. Once Junior returns home to report to his parents, Junior will return and cultivate with Senior. Yi Chun-feng said in a neither haughty nor humble manner. Good psychological quality, but you don't have the right to choose. If you don't want to acknowledge me as your master now, then you can die. With that, the mysterious man's soul power burst out from his mind and instantly gathered into a huge snake with 3 ferocious snake heads. Its huge body coiled together and emitted a dazzling red light. A powerful pressure instantly enveloped Yi Chun-feng, making it difficult for him to breathe. His 2 legs felt like they were filled with lead, and he couldn't move them at all. "Senior, don't be angry. I'm willing to acknowledge you as my master." Although the mysterious man was seriously injured, the difference in strength between the two of them was too great. Yi Chun-feng had no doubt that the mysterious man only needed a thought to have his spiritual beast, the 3-headed snake, kill him. Left with no choice, Yi Chun-feng could only compromise. "Do you really think I'm willing to accept you as my disciple? I'm just interested in your body. Since you've sensed my intentions, then you can die." The mysterious man controlled the spiritual beast, the 3-headed snake, to suddenly exert force and wrap around Yi Chun-feng's body, pulling him in front of him. In the next moment, the mysterious man forcibly controlled his soul to leave his body and take the risk to enter Yi Chun-feng's mind. He wanted to devour Yi Chun-feng's soul, occupy his body, and take back the strange blood brain. In the face of the mysterious man's soul, Yi Chun-feng was like a fish on a chopping board, unable to resist at all. He allowed the mysterious man's soul to erode his mind. "It's over. I don't have long to live." This was the last thought in Yi Chun-feng's mind. His vision turned black, and he fell to the ground, losing consciousness. After invading Yi Chun-feng's mind, the mysterious man's soul immediately wanted to erase his brain consciousness, devour his soul, and occupy his body. But at this moment, an accident happened. The strange blood brain parasitized in Yi Chun-feng's mind seemed to have a life of its own. It released a powerful devouring vortex and swallowed the mysterious man's soul instead. No. After being devoured by the strange blood brain, the mysterious man immediately sensed danger. He quickly condensed his soul into a ball, tried to escape from Yi Chun-feng's mind. However, this blood brain was too strange, and the devouring vortex it formed was beyond the limit of his soul's resistance. The strange blood brain didn't give him any chance to escape at all. The devouring vortex directly crushed his soul. As he screamed in despair, his soul was devoured by the strange blood brain. His spiritual beast, the 3-headed snake, instantly turned into a red light and dissipated in midair. After devouring the mysterious man's soul, the strange blood brain changed. The strange brain cells wriggled quickly and brought Yi Chun-feng's soul into a mysterious dream space. Where am I? Am I already dead? When Yi Chun-feng gradually regained consciousness, he realized that he had appeared in a space where he couldn't even see his own fingers. In this black space, there was a floating star that emitted a white light that made his heart palpitate. Just as Yi Chun-feng stared at the mysterious light in the distance, the light seemed to have a life of its own. With a whoosh, it flew towards him. Before he could react, it entered his soul. Yi Chun-feng felt a deep pain in his brain. In the next moment, a large number of images appeared in his soul. However, these images were like soul-devouring worms that constantly corroded his brain. It was so painful that he hovered between life and death, and his soul felt like it was being torn apart. Am I not dead? Otherwise, how can this pain be so real? Feeling that this inhuman pain was real, Yi Chunfeng tried his best to hold on to the last trace of emptiness, guarding his heart as he bitterly endured. After an unknown period of time, just as Yi Chunfeng was on the verge of collapse from the heart-wrenching pain, the mysterious light fused with his soul. The pain finally began to slowly weaken. After a long time, Yi Chunfeng woke up from his coma. His entire body was soaked in sweat, his face was pale, and his palms were bleeding from his nails. When he saw the mysterious man's corpse, he was stunned. Then, a large amount of information rushed into his mind like a flood. In my mind, why are there so many things? Medical skills, soul arts, secret skills. Could that mysterious light be a person's soul fragment? Thinking of this, Yi Chunfeng's heart was in turmoil. He faintly realized that he had obtained an unimaginable amount of wealth, and this wealth was what he needed and desired the most right now. Chapter 4. Yi Chunfeng struggled to get up from the ground, picked up the soul crystals, quickly took out a shovel, dug a big hole in his backyard, and buried the mysterious man's body. To be safe, Yi Chunfeng didn't stay too long. He immediately went back to his room, packed his bags, left his dangerous home, and entered the Baiyun mountain range outside White Emperor City. Yi Chunfeng had lived in White Emperor City for 3 years, so he was very familiar with the beautiful scenery of the Baiyun mountain range. About 4 hours later, he came to a secluded call in the depths of the Baiyun mountain range and hid in a hidden cave in the depths of the Colonel Few. It should be safe here. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath, rested for a while, and began to silently organize the complicated memory fragments in his mind. Qi Tong Tian, King Tong Tian of the Octave Divine Kingdom. His spiritual beast was a 3-headed snake, and his strength had reached the reverse beast king realm. He was an important figure in the Octave Divine Kingdom. When Yi Chunfeng organized his soul memories, the first thing he learned was the identity and origin of the mysterious man. Reverse Beast King. What realm is this Reverse Beast King? Where is the Octave Divine Kingdom? Although Yi Chunfeng had seen a lot in the Yi family since he was a child, because of the limited inheritance, Yi Chunfeng only knew the 4 realms of Spiritual Beast Cultivator, Beast Illusionist, Earth Beast General, and Heavenly Beast Immortal. Each realm was divided into 6 sub-realms, but he had never heard of the Reverse Beast King realm. As for the Octave Divine Kingdom, he had never heard of it. This also deeply proved the importance of inheritance. It could be said that no matter how talented a genius was, no matter how powerful his spiritual beast was, without the support of a matching inheritance, he couldn't break through the limits of the realm and step into a higher realm. After knowing Qi Tong Tian's identity, Yi Chunfeng immediately sorted out his complicated soul memories. Very soon, he was attracted by a secret body refining technique that Qi Tong Tian had never taught to outsiders of the Octave Divine Nation. Secret method. This Qi Tong Tian actually has a body refining secret method. Yi Chunfeng was fully aware that the value of an inherited soul formula was above that of a soul skill. This was because the level of a soul formula directly determined one's cultivation speed and realm. Compared to the spirit tactics, secret techniques were much rarer and more precious. He had only seen the introduction of secret techniques in an ancient book kept by the Yi family. He knew that every secret technique had unimaginable magical powers. In the entire Zijin kingdom, there wasn't a single secret technique that was passed down. The body-tempering mystic technique was tailor-made for Yi Chunfeng. During the years when he didn't have a spiritual beast, he had devoted all his time to body tempering. Although his physical strength had already reached a bottleneck due to the lack of an inheritance, he had laid down a good foundation. The 6 Meridians Divine Shield was a top-notch body refinement technique of the Octave Divine Kingdom. It was divided into 6 realms: skin refinement, flesh refinement, organs refinement, strength refinement, bone forging, and marrow cleansing. When cultivated to the pinnacle, one's body could be reborn, undergoing an earth-shattering transformation. There was nothing one could not overcome, and one's physical strength could reach 1 million gene of force. With one punch, the explosive physical strength could flatten a mountain and cut off a surging river. 2 million gene of strength, worthy of being the top-grade inherited secret method of the Ba Chi kingdom. If I can cultivate the 6 meridians divine shield to the extreme, even without a spiritual beast, I can still become an expert and shock the world. Yi Chunfeng browsed through the 6 meridians divine shield and was pleasantly surprised. If it wasn't for the fact that he needed to continue sorting out the complicated memories in his soul, he would have been impatient to cultivate the 6 meridians divine shield. Oh, Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath, suppressed the excitement in his heart, and continued to organize the complicated memory fragments. When he learned about the soul memories in the strange blood brain, he was completely stunned. The soul-devouring art had an unknown origin and level. After cultivating it successfully, it could form a powerful devouring power in the mind and directly devour the enemy's spiritual beast to strengthen one's own soul power. It could be said that after comprehending the soul-devouring art, Yi Chunfeng didn't have to worry about elixirs in the future. He only needed to keep fighting, and he could directly devour the enemy's spiritual beast through the soul-devouring art to improve his own realm. However, Yi Chunfeng didn't have a spiritual beast, so he wasn't sure if he could cultivate this heaven-defying soul-devouring art. In addition to the 6 meridians divine shield and the soul-devouring art, Yi Chunfeng was also attracted by a precious speed soul skill, shape-shifting shadow. Shape-shifting shadow was divided into 9 realms. With each realm, one could condense a speed shadow while moving and increase one's speed by 1-fold. When cultivated to the extreme, one could instantly condense 9 speed shadows and increase one's speed by 9 times. Coupled with the instantaneous explosive power of the 6 meridians divine shield, one could completely kill people without leaving a trace. However, due to the limitation of his strength, Yi Chunfeng couldn't cultivate shape-shifting shadow before breaking through to Beast Illusionist. Well, what's this? Medical fragment. When Yi Chunfeng sorted out the complicated soul memories to the end, he found a large amount of introduction to the medical fragment. Although the medical fragment was of little value to high-level soul cultivators, it was very important to the current Yi Chunfeng. After grasping the medical fragment, Yi Chunfeng could use the medical fragment to stimulate his body's potential and help him cultivate the 6 meridians divine shield. Other than the medical fragment, Yi Chunfeng also found an even more precious formation pattern fragment. The formation pattern inheritance was the rarest and most precious in the kingdom of Zijin. No matter if it was a mysterious formation or a soul tool that had the power to destroy heaven and earth, they were all formed by a large number of formation patterns. It was said that the kingdom of Zijin's state teacher, Situ Chuan, was in formation pattern master. Even if the kingdom of Zijin's emperor met him, he would have to be courteous and didn't dare to offend him. If I can learn the formation patterns in the memory fragments, will I be able to become an formation pattern master? Thinking of the benefits of becoming an formation pattern master, Yi Chunfeng showed a look of anticipation. After sorting out the memory fragments in his mind, Yi Chunfeng felt all sorts of emotions welling up in his heart. Even in his wildest dreams, he had never imagined that his life would undergo such a drastic change because of a strange blood brain. Let's start from comprehending the soul-devouring tactic. Whether it was the 6 meridians divine shield, shape-shifting shadow, or formation pattern, none of them were as precious as the soul-devouring tactic. More importantly, Yi Chunfeng wanted to comprehend the soul-devouring tactic and try to awaken his spiritual beast for the second time. Well, is the soul-devouring tactic so easy to comprehend? In the process of comprehending the soul-devouring tactic, Yi Chunfeng found that the soul-devouring tactic seemed to be tailor-made for him. There wasn't a trace of awkwardness. It was very easy to comprehend, and there was no difficulty at all. Is it because I fused with the god-devouring brain that greatly improved my comprehension ability? Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself and guessed. Yi Chunfeng's talent was 1 in 1,000. Now that his brain had fused with the strange blood brain, his comprehension ability had reached a monstrous level. Because of the extraordinary origin of the strange blood brain and its powerful devouring ability, Yi Chen-feng gave it the name of the god-devouring brain. About a day or so, a soul vortex formed in Yi Chen-feng's mind while he meditated to comprehend the soul-devouring tactic. In the center of the soul vortex, a blood egg was flashing and growing bigger and clearer. After the blood egg was completely formed, a pure soul power flowed out of the blood egg and into Yi Chen-feng's body. When the soul power flowed through Yi Chen-feng's body, the bottleneck that he couldn't break through was easily broken through by the soul power. He broke through to the level 1 spirit beast realm as he wished. Breakthrough. I've broken through to the level 1 spirit beast realm. Is the blood egg formed in my soul, my spiritual beast? Yi Chen-feng showed a wry smile. He didn't expect that the spiritual beast that he had painstakingly condensed would be so strange. It was an egg. Chapter 5. Early in the morning, a thin layer of rose-colored sunrise appeared in the east. Smoke rising from the roofs hung a layer of pearl-like color in the sky, making people feel relaxed and happy. Rumble, in the depths of Baiyun Mountain, under a waterfall that was more than 100 meters high, Yi Chen-feng was holding 2 severely damaged soul crystals in his palm. His upper body was naked, and he sat cross-legged on a smooth rock, letting the water of the waterfall hit his body. Yi Chen-feng was under great pressure from the impact of the waterfall, but he didn't retreat. With the help of the pressure brought by the waterfall, he controlled the soul power in his body to slowly absorb the soul power contained in the damaged soul crystals, cultivate the 6 meridians divine shield, and temper his skin. Once he cultivated the 6 meridians divine shield to the first level and completed the first step of body refining, the skin refining realm, not only would his defensive power be greatly improved, but his physical strength would also reach 500 kilograms of strength. One must know that the biggest weakness of a soul cultivator was the physical body. The physical strength of a level 6 spiritual beast could only reach 500 kilograms of strength after fusing with his own spiritual beast. As long as he cultivated to the first level of the 6 meridians divine shield, his physical strength would reach this level. If he cultivated to the second level of the 6 meridians divine shield, his physical strength could reach a terrifying 2,500 kilograms of strength. After replenishing the blood in his body, his physical strength would be close to 10,000 kilograms of strength, and he could kill a level 6 spiritual beast with one punch. However, the difficulty of cultivating the 6 meridians divine shield was relatively high. Without the support of powerful resources, it was difficult to make a breakthrough. Fortunately, Yi Chen-feng had many damaged soul crystals. With the help of these soul crystals, he still had hope to cultivate to the first level of the 6 meridians divine shield, the skin refining realm, in a short time. As a large amount of pure soul power flowed into Yi Chen-feng's body, the cells in his skin rapidly transformed. A thin layer of soul power covered the surface of his skin, greatly weakening the impact of the waterfall. As the pressure of the waterfall decreased, Yi Chen-feng slowly entered a mysterious state. His breathing was rhythmically at a special frequency, and his whole body was integrated with the surrounding environment. If Chiton Tian was reborn and saw Yi Chen-feng's current state of cultivation, his eyes would definitely pop out of their sockets. Yi Chen-feng had entered the state of emptiness that they yearned for even in their dreams. Some people might not even be able to enter it once in their entire lives. Zijin Royal City, the #1 city in the Zijin Kingdom. It was also the core of the Zijin Kingdom's power. Almost all the spirit cultivators in the Zijin Kingdom live there. At this moment, in a pavilion with a beautiful lake in the northwest of the Purple Gold Empire, sat an extremely beautiful mother and daughter. Among them, the girl had long, flowing hair and light makeup on her face. Her fair skin and alluring features made her look far better than the average person. The tight white floral dress she was wearing accentuated her exquisite curves. The slender thighs that were exposed under the white dress were powerful enough to kill the eyes. This beautiful, fairy-like woman was Yi Chen-feng's fiancée, Violet Gold Imperial City's #1 beauty, Ji Qingxue. Qingxue, have you really thought it through? Do you really insist on marrying that trash, Yi Qinfeng? Ji Qingxue's mother, Lu Yun, who exuded a graceful and noble aura, frowned and persuaded. Dragons don't live with snakes. No matter how talented that Yi Qinfeng is, he can't condense a spiritual beast. Plus, he has already been expelled from the Yi clan. He is no longer worthy of you. Mother, don't worry. I have never thought of marrying Yi Qinfeng. Before I break through to the Earth Beast general level, I will not marry anyone. The reason why I insist on marrying him is to use him as my shield and make that annoying Jiang Shanshui give up. Ji Qingxue said calmly, as if she was talking about a trivial matter. Sigh. Qingxue, things aren't as simple as you think. Lu Yun sighed softly and said, Yesterday, the head of the Jiang clan, Jiang Zhongxiong, personally came to our Ji clan to propose marriage to your grandfather and made a promise. Although your grandfather didn't agree immediately, between Yi Qinfeng and Jiang Shanshui, he is more inclined towards Jiang Shanshui. I won't even consider a scum like Jiang Shanshui. Ji Qingxue frowned and said with disgust. Jiang Shanshui was Jiang Zhongxiong's second grandson. He relied on the support of the #1 clan in the imperial city, the Jiang clan, and was usually arrogant and despotic. He also had a hobby, which was to collect all kinds of beauties. He liked virgins even more. Countless beauties in the Purple Gold Empire had been defiled by him. Among them, there were many young girls who resisted him. After he raped them, he threw them into the snake den to feed the snakes. Qingxue, I'm afraid your grandfather will agree on your behalf this time, because the Jiang clan's promise includes an extremely precious 9th grade elixir. This 9th grade elixir has a 70% chance of curing your grandfather's old injuries and restoring his strength. Looking at Ji Qingxue's beautiful face, Lu Yun sighed helplessly in her heart. A 9th grade elixir? The Jiang clan has a 9th grade elixir? Ji Qingxue's eyebrows twitched slightly as she said in surprise. Due to the limitations of the inheritance, all the alchemists in the Purple Gold Empire could only refine 6th grade elixirs. Only the Heavenly Fire Martial House had a 9th grade elixir like the 9th grade elixir. The 9th grade elixir in the Heavenly Fire Martial House was also a reward from the 3rd grade sect, the Heavenly Fire Martial House. They're so despicable to use a 9th grade elixir to tempt grandfather. After knowing the inside story, Ji Qingxue's delicate face turned pale. She said angrily, Even if I die, I won't marry that bastard Jiang Shanshui. Qingxue, there might still be a chance. Don't do anything stupid. Lu Yun knew Ji Qingxue's arrogant character. He was afraid that something unexpected would happen and said nervously, If grandfather really forces me, then I can only use that method. Ji Qingxue bit her lips lightly and made up her mind. What method? Lu Yun raised his eyebrows and asked. Use me as a shield and pretend that what's done can't be undone. Let Jiang Shanshui have no choice but to give up on me. I think with his arrogant character, he won't be willing to marry a useless woman. Ji Qingxue said. Qingxue, this is indeed a method, but have you thought about the consequences? If the Jiang clan knows that you would rather be with a useless person than accept Jiang Shanshui's pursuit, they will definitely fly into a rage out of humiliation and take revenge on Yi Qinfeng. At that time, Yi Qinfeng might lose his life because of this matter. Lu Yun explained the pros and cons. I know that the Jiang clan might take revenge on Yi Qinfeng, but I will do my best to protect him. After the matter is settled, I will give him a large sum of money and let him go far away. This way, even if the Jiang clan has the ability to reach the heavens, they won't be able to take revenge on him. Ji Qingxue took a deep breath and said, Qingxue, this matter is too serious. I suggest that you think about it carefully. Don't make a fuss that can't be resolved in the end, and don't harm Yi Qinfeng. Lu Yun said worriedly. Don't worry, mother. I know what I'm doing. There won't be any accidents. Ji Qingxue said with a firm tone. Looking at her daughter, who was even more beautiful than a fairy, Lu Yun sighed softly in her heart. She knew that Ji Qingxue's heart was higher than the heavens. In addition, she was a 5th grade talent and had a high great spirit beast, Icebird. She definitely wasn't willing to be confined to the Zijin kingdom. nor was she willing to be like other girls who got married early and wasted their youth. She was doing this to fight against fate. However, her actions might implicate the innocent Yi Chen-feng. Chapter 6. After an unknown amount of time, Yi Chen-feng, who had been meditating like an old monk, suddenly opened his eyes. His palms, which were filled with power, fiercely smashed the smooth boulder beneath him, causing the hard boulder to crack. His body, like a big bird, leaped high into the air and rushed straight up towards the waterfall. His fist, which was filled with the force of 1,000 pounds, heavily smashed onto the waterfall, forcibly cutting off the water of the waterfall that was like the Milky Way that was flowing straight down. I've finally cultivated the 6 Meridians' divine shield to the first stage. With the help of the strong recoil from the waterfall, Yi Chen-feng floated down from the air and landed beside the waterfall. When Yi Chen-feng felt the burst of energy in his body earlier, he revealed a look of pleasant surprise. However, in order to cultivate the 6 Meridians' divine shield to the first stage of the skin-tempering realm in a short time, he had used up all the broken spirit crystals that Chi Tong Tian had left behind. If he wanted to cultivate the 6 Meridians' divine shield to the second stage in a short time, he had to find a way to buy spirit crystals. However, ever since he was expelled from the Yi family, the Yi family had cut off all of Yi Chen-feng's sources of income. The price of a low-grade spirit crystal exceeded 10,000 taels of silver. Yi Chen-feng had less than 20 taels of silver left. If he wanted to buy a low-grade spirit crystal for cultivation, he had to find a way to raise the money. In addition to the low-grade spirit crystals, Yi Chen-feng also needed to buy some body refinement herbs to stimulate the potential of his body. However, these herbs were undoubtedly more expensive. Maybe the 2 great inheritances can help me get out of my current predicament. Yi Chen-feng took a deep breath and decided to spend some time to fuse the formation patterns and medical fragments that were imprinted in the depths of his mind. Yi Chen-feng simply moved his body and ate some dry rations. After adjusting his body to its best state, he began to fuse the profound and hard-to-understand memory fragments. Although Yi Chen-feng was unfamiliar with the 2 great memory fragments, after fusing with the God-Eater brain, his comprehension had reached an unimaginable level. After about 2 days, Yi Chen-feng fused the medical fragments and the formation patterns. What a mysterious inheritance! The inheritance of medical skills and formation runes in Godly Eater's brain is definitely not something the inheritance of Zi Gene Kingdom can compare to. Maybe only the inheritance of a sect would be able to study medical skills and formation runes to such a level. With bloodshot eyes and a splitting headache, Yi Chen-feng deeply experienced the profoundness of the 2 great inheritances. His face revealed a look of deep surprise. However, the legacy of array patterns was extensive and profound. If Yi Chen-feng wanted to fully grasp the array patterns, he would have to start from the basics and practice bit by bit. However, the practice process was no different from burning money. Although the inheritance of medical skills could earn him money, he had no time to open a medical center to earn money. Therefore, at this stage, only refining array talismans could solve his urgent needs in the shortest time possible. I'll try to refine this offensive array talisman, the Golden Needle Talisman. After pondering for a moment, Yi Chen-feng chose the easiest gold needle talisman to craft. However, although the gold needle talisman was the simplest one in his inherited memories, the materials required to craft it were still extremely precious. Blood of ferocious beasts, heavenly star sand, top-grade cinnabar, yellow jade talisman paper. Sigh. Thinking of the materials required to refine the gold needle talisman, Yi Chen-feng's excitement was instantly replaced by depression. With the 20 or so taels of silver he had, he probably couldn't even afford the cheapest yellow jade talisman paper. Who should I borrow money from? Yi Chen-feng started to worry. Ever since Yi Chen-feng failed to awaken his spiritual beast and was chased out of the Yi clan, he had fewer and fewer friends around him. In the end, he no longer had any friends around him, and no one was willing to lend him money. Yi Xiling. Looks like I can only borrow money from her. After pondering for a while, Yi Chen-feng could only think of one person. However, He wasn't sure if Yi Xiling would lend him a large sum of money. Forget it, I'll give it a try first. If it really doesn't work, I'll think of another way. Yi Chenfeng sighed helplessly. After eating some rations, he left the secluded mountain valley where he had been cultivating for many days and returned to White Emperor City. Because he was afraid of being discovered by Qi Tongtian's enemies and causing an accident, Yi Chenfeng didn't return to his original home. Instead, he went directly to Yi Xiling's small courtyard in the White Emperor Martial House. "Why are you here? Do you need something from me?" Yi Xiling, who was cultivating in her room, heard a knock on the door. She got off her bed and opened the door. When she saw Yi Chenfeng standing outside, she was stunned for a moment before speaking in a calm voice. "I want to borrow some money from you." Yi Xiling, who was wearing a long gauze dress, had a tall figure and strong legs. Her entire body was brimming with youthful vitality. Yi Chenfeng went straight to the point. "Borrow money?" Yi Xiling frowned slightly and said, "How much do you want to borrow?" 30,000 taels of silver. 30,000 taels of silver? What do you need so much money for? Yi Xiling asked coldly. She didn't expect Yi Chenfeng to borrow so much money from her. "For cultivation," Yi Chenfeng replied indifferently. "I'll return it to you within a month at the latest." I'll give you the 30,000 taels of silver. You don't need to return it." Yi Xiling looked at Yi Chenfeng with shining eyes. Thinking of the time they had spent growing up together, Yi Xiling agreed. "But Yi Chenfeng, this is the last time I'll give you money. I hope you won't bother me again in the future." "Okay." Yi Chenfeng laughed self-deprecatingly and agreed. However, when he earned enough money in the future, he would return it to Yi Xiling. After all, he didn't want to owe Yi Xiling anything, and he didn't want to owe the Yi clan anything either. He borrowed 30,000 taels of silver from Yi Xiling as he wished. Yi Chenfeng didn't waste any time and turned to leave. "Yi Chenfeng, we are no longer people of the same world. I hope you take care of yourself," Yi Xiling muttered to herself as she watched Yi Chenfeng's departing figure. However, she didn't know that Yi Chenfeng had already undergone an astonishing transformation. Moreover, they were indeed no longer people of the same world. With the 30,000 taels of silver in his pocket, Yi Chenfeng directly left the White Emperor Martial House and went to the largest shop in White Emperor City, the White Cloud Shop. He spent 28,000 taels of silver to buy 9 sets of materials for refining the Golden Needle Talisman, a set of silver needles, and a human skin mask as thin as a cicada's wing. The reason Yi Chenfeng bought the human skin mask was because he was afraid of exposing the inheritance of the soul-devouring brain. The reason he bought the silver needles was because there was a set of mysterious needle techniques in the medical inheritance called the Heavenly Profound Needle. According to the description of the Heavenly Profound Needle in the inherited memories, the Heavenly Profound Needle needed to be used in conjunction with Soul Force. By stimulating the acupuncture points, it could cleanse the meridians and heal internal injuries. After buying the items he needed, Yi Chenfeng spent another 100 taels of silver to rent a courtyard surrounded by yellow soil in the eastern suburbs of White Emperor City as a temporary residence. Expensive, the materials for refining the Golden Needle Talisman are too expensive, especially the vicious beast blood. Each small bottle costs 1,000 taels of silver. Isn't this daylight robbery? Yi Chenfeng quickly tidied up the dusty room and placed a large cloth bag on the heavily chipped table. Looking at the 9 bottles of precious, vicious beast blood, he couldn't help but sigh. After dividing the materials into 9 sets, Yi Chenfeng didn't blindly refine the Golden Needle Talisman. Instead, he sat cross-legged on the bed and simulated the process of refining the Golden Needle Talisman over and over again in his mind. After all, each of these 9 sets of materials was worth more than 3,000 taels of silver. If he failed to refine all of them, he would lose everything. Chapter 7. Yi Chenfeng took a deep breath and formed seals with both hands. He followed the attack patterns of the Golden Needle Talisman and controlled the soul power in his body to condense the array patterns. The Golden Needle Talisman could be said to be the lowest grade attack talisman. It was formed by 2 attack patterns. However, Yi Chenfeng's cultivation was too low, and his soul power was too weak. It was very strenuous for him to condense the array patterns. If it wasn't for his soul-devouring art, which allowed him to recover faster than ordinary soul arts, he wouldn't be able to support the consumption of the array patterns. After about half an hour, the two attack patterns condensed on the yellow jade talisman and formed a sharp and blurry golden needle. Condensing the array patterns was only the first step. In order to make the golden needle talisman have a terrifying attack power, he had to use the blood of vicious beasts, skystar sand, and top-grade cinnabar to condense into the array patterns and activate the strongest power of the array patterns. Beast Blood Condensing Pattern. Yi Chunfeng closed his eyes and recovered his soul power. He released his soul power and poured it into the beast blood. Following the method of condensing the golden needle talisman, he slowly fused the beast blood into the array patterns. As his hands formed seals faster and faster, the beast blood seemed to come alive. It quickly condensed in the air and flew into the array patterns. The golden needle talisman might be small, but after fusing with the blood of vicious beasts, the power it contained was astonishing. Yi Chunfeng didn't doubt that if the golden needle talisman was successfully condensed, it would be enough to kill ordinary beast illusionists. After about 10 minutes, Yi Chunfeng felt that the beast blood talisman was gradually stabilizing. He started to fuse the other materials into the array patterns. The continuous fusion process was the most difficult and crucial part of refining the talisman. The slightest mistake would result in failure. At first, under the control of Yi Chunfeng's soul power, the fusion of the talisman was relatively smooth. But slowly, his soul power was depleted rapidly, and he felt a slight fluctuation in his soul power. And this slight fluctuation in his soul power directly caused the fusion of the talisman to fail and turn into ashes. Failed. Looking at the yellow jade talisman that had turned into ashes, Yi Chunfeng sighed helplessly. 3,000 taels of silver had gone down the drain, just like that. Normally, he wouldn't even be able to spend so much money in a year. Refining talismans is too expensive. Ordinary people simply can't afford it. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and muttered to himself with heartache. With the experience of failure, Yi Chunfeng immediately summed up the experience of failure and looked for his shortcomings and problems in refining the array talisman. Because his soul force couldn't be increased in a short period of time, if he wanted to successfully refine the talisman, he had to try his best to minimize mistakes and save unnecessary soul force consumption. Only then would he have a chance of success. About an hour later, Yi Chunfeng's soul power was restored to its original state. His body was also in peak condition. When the time was right, he began to refine the golden needle talisman for the second time. Although Yi Chunfeng had summed up his experience of failure, he still made a small mistake at the last moment due to his insufficient soul power. This led to a mistake when he was fusing the runes and failed at the last moment. I failed again. 3,000 taels of silver is gone again. Looking at the golden needle talisman that had turned into ashes, Yi Chunfeng wanted to cry, but had no tears. Bang! Failure. Failure again. Failure again. Yi Chunfeng summed up his experience while refining the golden needle talisman. However, his luck was too bad. He failed 8 times in a row and almost exhausted all the materials to refine the golden needle talisman. However, with the experience of 8 failures, Yi Chunfeng's technique of condensing the runes was much more proficient and his speed was much faster. In just 20 minutes, he had condensed the Soul Force runes and condensed them on the yellow jade talisman. He began to control the blood of the fierce beasts, fusing the heavenly star sand and other materials into the runes. During the process of fusing the array talisman, Yi Chunfeng, who had used up a lot of his soul force, felt dizzy again. This caused the golden needle talisman to become slightly chaotic and almost failed at the last moment. In a moment of desperation, Yi Chunfeng fiercely bit his tongue and tried his best to regain his consciousness. He controlled his soul force to stabilize the chaotic runes at all costs. Phew, that was close. I almost failed again. After the runes stabilized, Yi Chunfeng, who had beads of sweat on his forehead, let out a long sigh of relief and muttered to himself with lingering fear. If he failed again, his losses would be even greater, and he would not have a chance to make a comeback. After another 5 minutes, just as Yi Qinfeng was about to use up all his soul force, suddenly, a golden light shone on the yellow jade talisman. The golden needle talisman was finally formed. Success! I finally succeeded. Looking at the golden needle talisman floating in front of him, Yi Qinfeng, who had used up too much of his soul force, let out a breath of turbid air and revealed a look of pleasant surprise. With this golden needle talisman, all his hard work had paid off. Furthermore, by refining the golden needle talisman with high quality, Yi Qinfeng's control over his soul was stronger and his soul force was more condensed. I don't know how much this golden needle talisman can be sold for, but I think it should be worth 50,000 taels of silver. Yi Qinfeng grew up in the Yi family, so he knew that an average quality talisman could be sold for 100,000 taels of silver. A talisman made by a famous master was even more valuable, and the talisman inheritance that Yi Qinfeng had obtained far surpassed that of the kingdom of Zi Jin's talisman inheritance. He believed that the talisman that he made, regardless of its value or quality, was not something that those talismans on the market could compare to. But because he was not famous and was a beginner, he had set the price of the golden needle talisman very low. He only hoped that he could be recognized and earn back his cost. I hope that there is someone in White Emperor City who knows what's good for me. Otherwise, I will be in trouble again. Yi Qinfeng muttered to himself. Early in the morning, a thin layer of rose-colored sunrise appeared in the east. Yi Qinfeng, who was wearing a human skin mask, stepped on the gentle morning light and walked into the white cloud shop, which was 3 stories tall and shaped like a pagoda. At the entrance sat 2 majestic stone lions. "Young master, may I know what you would like to buy?" Although Yi Qinfeng was dressed very plainly and was half a head shorter than an adult, the service of the white cloud shop was very good. A young woman with light makeup and a white cheongsam that outlined her mature and voluptuous figure walked over and asked in a pleasant voice. She had a sexy, willowy waist and was exceptionally charming. "I would like to sell a talisman. May I know if the white cloud shop would accept it?" Yi Qinfeng looked at the tall and charming young woman and said straightforwardly, "Talisman." The young woman's eyebrows slightly twitched. Looking at the unfamiliar Yi Qinfeng, who was wearing a loose robe, she felt that he did not seem to be pranking her. She asked, "May I know how you obtained the talisman? Which master made that talisman? Please forgive me for not being able to tell you where this talisman came from. May I know if your shop would accept it?" Yi Qinfeng shook his head and asked. Chapter 8. After a while, a white-haired old man wearing a dark blue robe, a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, and a unique badge on his chest walked into the back hall. He glanced at the expressionless Yi Qinfeng, who was sitting on the armchair, and asked, "Are you the one who wants to sell the formation amulet?" "Yes, I have a formation amulet and would like to appraise its value before selling it." Yi Qinfeng nodded and said. He took out the golden needle amulet and handed it to the blue-robed old man. After receiving the golden needle amulet from Yi Qinfeng, the blue-robed old man frowned slightly. This was because he realized that the amulet paper used to make the golden needle amulet was the lowest grade yellow jade amulet paper available on the market. The price of each amulet paper was no more than 100 taels of silver. Although the amulet paper itself did not affect the quality and power of the formation amulet, a formation amulet master was a noble. They would never use such a low-grade amulet paper to make a formation amulet, as it would lower their status. Moreover, the formation amulet in Yi Qinfeng's hand did not have any markings. It was obviously not made by a master. If it was not for the fact that this formation amulet contained the power of a formation amulet, he would not have had the patience to appraise it. About 5 minutes later, the blue-robed old man finished appraising it. He raised his head and looked at Yi Qinfeng. He said slowly, "This is indeed a complete formation amulet. I wonder how you got it." "I'm sorry. Please forgive me for keeping the origin of this formation amulet a secret," Yi Qinfeng said apologetically. Unless it was a last resort, he would not easily reveal his secret to avoid getting himself killed. The formation amulet is extremely mysterious. I can only understand a little of it, and am unable to accurately determine its value. If you are unable to tell me the origin of this formation amulet, my White Cloud shop can only purchase it at the price of the lowest grade formation amulet. Although the blue-robed old man felt that the golden needle amulet that Yi Chanfeng was selling contained a very mysterious formation pattern, he did not dare to take the risk of purchasing it at a high price. May I know the price of the lowest grade formation amulet? Yi Chanfeng frowned slightly and asked, 3,000 taels of silver. The blue-robed old man said as he extended 3 fingers. 3,000 taels of silver. Yi Chanfeng was speechless when he heard the price offered by the blue-robed old man. This was because the price offered by the blue-robed old man was exactly the cost price of the Golden Needle Talisman. It did not include the high cost of refining the Golden Needle Talisman. Is there no other way to test the value of my talisman? Yi Chanfeng asked. There's another way. That is to test its power in front of everyone. However, you'll have to provide the array talisman for the test yourself. The blue-robed old man said. All right, I got it. Sorry to disturb you. Seeing that there was no hope of selling it, Yi Chanfeng did not pester him any further. He stood up and left. After leaving the White Cloud shop, Yi Chanfeng did not give up. He went to the other shops to try his luck. However, these shops either didn't have a talisman appraiser, or they doubted the authenticity of his talismans. There were even some evil people who directly coaxed him out, causing him to be rejected time and time again. Sigh, is there no one in the entire White Emperor city who knows what's good for them? When Yi Chanfeng was kicked out of the shop, he sighed helplessly. Yi Chanfeng looked at the vast crowd in front of him. He was a little discouraged as he frowned and muttered to himself, where can I find someone who knows what's good for them? If he could not sell the Golden Needle Talisman, then all his efforts would be in vain. He would have no money to buy cultivation resources. And if he did not have any cultivation resources, even if he had the God-Eater Brain inheritance, his cultivation speed would be affected. Yes, a reward notice. Just as Yi Chanfeng aimlessly walked to the center of the city, he was surprised to see many people gathered around a vermilion wall, discussing something. As he walked closer, he saw a yellow notice on the wall. The White Emperor City's Lord has offered a reward of 100,000 taels of silver to find a divine doctor to treat his seriously ill father by Shishan. Seeing the contents of the notice, Yi Chanfeng's eyes immediately lit up. He was currently worried about how he could not earn money, and the opportunity had come. If I can earn this 100,000 taels of silver, I can change my current predicament. At that time, it doesn't matter if I sell the Golden Needle Talisman or not. Yi Chanfeng muttered to himself. He decided to go back and properly research the heavenly profound needle that could cleanse the meridians and cure all kinds of illnesses in the medical inheritance. Early tomorrow morning, he would go to the city lord's mansion to treat people. At night, the stars dotted the sky, and the world was quiet. Heavenly profound needle. Yi Chanfeng pinched 12 silver needles that were as thin as a cow's hair. He controlled strands of soul energy and infused them into the silver needles. Using a special method, his fingers moved gently, either piercing or flicking. The 12 needles shot out, one after another, into the acupuncture points on his arm. Suddenly, Yi Chanfeng's arm emitted a large amount of white smoke. The cold and hot energy instantly spread throughout his entire arm, making him feel a kind of limp and numb feeling. Then, Yi Chanfeng once again pinched 10 silver needles. Following the heavenly profound needle technique, he once again pierced them into his arm. But this time, 2 of the silver needles deviated, causing his arm to be pierced. Streams of blood flowed out from his arm. It seems that I still haven't grasped the essence of the heavenly profound needle technique. Yi Chanfeng pulled out the silver needles from his arm. He closed his eyes to summarize his experience, and then continued to practice. After practicing for an entire night, Yi Chanfeng, with his monstrous perception, had basically grasped the essence of the heavenly profound needle technique. His accuracy in piercing the needles had also reached over 90%. But currently, he only lacked experience. Early in the morning, Yi Chanfeng put on the human skin mask again. Carrying the small medicine box he bought yesterday, he stepped into the morning sun and headed to the city lord's mansion. So many doctors. When Yi Chen-feng arrived outside the city lord's mansion, he found that the usually closed door was wide open. More than 10 white-haired doctors gathered in the front yard of the city lord's mansion to discuss something. But from their frowning brows, it was obvious that they were helpless about by Shishan's condition. Seeing their expression, Yi Chen-feng's confidence was not affected. He stepped on the bluestone stairs and walked into the city lord's mansion. This is the city lord's mansion. Outsiders are not allowed to enter. When Yi Chen-feng walked to the entrance of the mansion, a white-haired old man wearing a dark blue robe with wrinkles on the corners of his eyes walked out of the mansion. He stopped Yi Chen-feng and arrogantly warned him. I saw the notice and came to treat old master Bai. Yi Chen-feng deliberately said with a hoarse voice. You came to treat. Hearing the purpose of Yi Chen-feng's visit, housekeeper Bai was stunned for a moment. He looked at him vigilantly, and his eyes were full of doubt. Although Yi Chen-feng was wearing a human skin mask, it could not hide his immature aura. Coupled with the cheap clothes on his body, housekeeper Bai suspected that he was a swindler. Where did this country bumpkin come from? Get lost as far as you can. Otherwise, I will break your dog leg. When housekeeper Bai was looking at Yi Chen-feng, a tall and handsome man wearing luxurious clothes walked out of the mansion. He looked at Yi Chen-feng, who was wearing cheap clothes and carrying a small medicine box, with disgust. He cursed with a bad attitude. Lien Sanjun, why is he here? Yi Chen-feng recognized at a glance that the man in luxurious clothes was his classmate at White Emperor Academy, the second young master of Lien family of White Emperor City. I can go, but I hope you won't regret it, because I'm the only one who can save old Master Bai. Yi Chen-feng looked at Lien Sanjun, frowned slightly, and said in a low voice, Sir, wait. Chapter 9. What a beautiful girl. The woman who had chased after him was wearing a pink chiffon dress that accentuated her curvaceous figure. She was wearing a pair of black boots that accentuated her slender and beautiful legs that were hidden in her dress. Yi Chen-feng had seen many beauties since he was young, but he had to admit that the girl in front of him, whether it was temperament or appearance, was perfect. Among all the beauties he had seen, only the number one beauty of Zijin Imperial City, Ji Qingxue, could be compared to her. However, when he thought of Ji Qingxue, who was betrothed to him when he was a child, and her amazing talent, Yi Chen-feng laughed at himself. Xia, are you crazy? This country bumpkin is obviously a liar. You can't believe him. Lien Sanjun said in confusion. May I ask your surname? For what you said just now, are you sure you can save my grandfather? In fact, Bai Xia didn't believe that the young Yi Chen-feng had such superb medical skills. However, as long as there was a glimmer of hope, she wouldn't give up. That's why she chased after him. My surname is Chun. If I wasn't sure, would I come? Yi Chen-feng said like an old man and made up a surname. Really? Sir, you are really sure. Although Yi Chen-feng's attitude wasn't good, Bai Xia didn't care and asked excitedly. The reason why she was so excited was because over the past few days, many doctors had come to the Bai family, including the imperial physician from the imperial city. However, Bai Shishan's injuries were very strange, and even the imperial physician who could bring back the dying was helpless. If there is no such person, I should have 60% confidence. However, if he is here, then I only have a 20% chance of success at most. Yi Chen-feng said deliberately as he glanced at Lien Sanjun, who was standing behind Bai Xia with a hostile expression. You! Hearing Yi Chen-feng's words, Lien Sanjun almost vomited blood. A raging anger burned in his heart, and his expression was gloomy. You dare to boast without diagnosing the patriarch's condition? Aren't you too arrogant? Housekeeper Bai asked doubtfully. He didn't believe that Yi Chen-feng's medical skills were better than the imperial physician of the imperial city. He felt that Yi Chen-feng was a liar and wanted to send him away as soon as possible. Because I have confidence in my medical skills, Yi Chen-feng said faintly. Also, in the past month, when you cultivate, do you feel a headache, a stuffy chest, and a restless mind? How do you know? Housekeeper Bai raised his eyebrows, revealing a thick horror. He had never mentioned to anyone the pain in his chest and the restlessness in his mind when he was cultivating. Yi Chen-feng didn't diagnose him, but was able to determine his condition with just his eyesight. It was enough to show that he was extraordinary. You've accumulated a lot of yin qi between your eyebrows. It's obvious that your pulse is weak and your body has an excess of yin qi. Headaches and chest tightness are only the initial stages. If you don't force the yin qi out of your body, you might become a cripple when the yin qi enters your bone marrow. Although Yi Chunfeng had no medical experience, he forcibly integrated the medical inheritance in the God Eater's brain. It was equivalent to directly robbing the memory of a medical master. With the experience of the medical inheritance, he could see the physical condition of housekeeper at a glance. Master, do you know how to get rid of the yin qi in my body? After being seen through by Yi Chunfeng, housekeeper began to believe in his medical skills. He immediately changed his face and address and asked humbly, "Do you still think I'm arrogant now?" Yi Chunfeng asked faintly, "I'm sorry, Master. I didn't recognize Mount Tai just now. Please don't mind." Housekeeper bowed his head and apologized. He regretted offending Yi Chunfeng. "Then, do you think it's more important to treat old Master Bai or to treat you?" Yi Chunfeng was very disgusted by his arrogant attitude and deliberately asked, "Naturally, it's more important to treat old Master Bai. Master, please come in." Housekeeper didn't dare to neglect Yi Chunfeng anymore. He ignored Lien Sanjuan's gloomy face and warmly welcomed him into the city lord's mansion, which was filled with pavilions and buildings. "That's right. Why is he still following us? Is he also a member of your Bai family?" Yi Chunfeng found that the man in the luxurious robe was closely following them. He asked even though he already knew the answer. "I'm sorry, Master. Please don't be angry. I'll make him leave." Seeing Yi Chunfeng's skill, Bai Xia firmly believed in his ability. She immediately turned around and stopped Lien Sanjun, who had an ugly face, and said, "You don't need to worry about my grandfather's condition. You can go back." "Xia, do you really believe him? He's a liar," Lien Sanjun said angrily. "If he was kicked out of the Bai family like this, he would lose all face." "Lien Sanjun, this is my Bai family, not your Lien family. If you speak rudely again, don't blame me for driving you out." Bai Xia saw Lien Sanjun chattering and was afraid that Yi Chunfeng would leave in anger. She coldly warned him. Although she was still not sure if Yi Chunfeng really had the ability to cure her grandfather, if Yi Chunfeng was angered and left, then her last hope would be shattered. Okay. I'll leave. I hope you won't regret it." After saying that, Lien Sanjun fiercely glared at Yi Chunfeng, gritted his teeth, and left in anger. "Master, don't be angry. As long as you can cure my grandfather, my Bai family will definitely thank you." Bai Xia looked at Yi Chunfeng's expressionless face and kept saying nice things. "Let's go. Take me to see your grandfather," Yi Chunfeng said indifferently as he followed Bai Xia to the main hall. There he saw the White Emperor City's city lord Bai Xishan and 3 white-haired famous doctors in the White Emperor City. "Xia, who is this?" Bai Jiangshui, who was wearing a dark blue robe with a snake pattern on it, exuded a dignified aura without being angry. However, there was a trace of worry between his brows. He looked at Yi Chunfeng's unfamiliar face with a youthful aura and a medicine box hanging on his body and asked, "Father, this is Master Chun, who is here to treat grandfather." Bai Xia introduced. "Master Chun." Bai Jiangshui's eyebrows twitched slightly. His first reaction was the same as Stewart Bai's. He suspected that Yi Chunfeng was a liar. After all, Yi Chunfeng gave people the impression that he was too young. He didn't look like a skilled doctor at all. "I saw the reward notice in your mansion and came to treat old Master Bai's illness." Yi Chunfeng took in everyone's questioning gaze. However, he wasn't angry and said indifferently, "This." Bai Jiangshui looked at the 3 famous doctors and asked for their opinion. Bai Jiangshui didn't dare to take the risk when it concerned his father's life and death. "Kid, old Master Bai's body is very heavy. If you fail to treat him, you won't be able to afford it," a white-haired doctor reminded. "Since I'm here, I naturally have a certain degree of confidence. It depends on whether Mayor Bai is willing to let me try," Yi Chunfeng said in a neither arrogant nor humble manner. "How confident are you?" Bai Xishan hesitated and asked. "I should be 60% confident," Yi Chunfeng said indifferently. 60%? The 3 white-haired doctors looked at each other and said mockingly, Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue when you talk big? Chapter 10. Xiao Xiao Xiao. The 108 silver needles seemed to have a life of their own. As Yi Chunfeng flicked his fingers, they flew around in a special trajectory. What a marvelous needle control technique. The three white-haired doctors were completely stunned by the scene in front of them. Even with their dozens of years of medical expertise, they were unable to control the silver needles to such perfection. Genius. This person is definitely a needle technique genius. Seeing Yi Chunfeng's skill, the three white-haired doctors immediately raised Yi Chunfeng to their height, and the disdain on their faces disappeared. This one has learned an ancient needle technique from my master. If City Lordby believes me, then let me try. If you don't, then I will leave immediately. Yi Chunfeng glanced at the three white-haired doctors who were dumbfounded and purposely made up a master. My apologies. I apologize for my negligence just now. Bai Jiangshui took in the expressions of the three doctors and judged that Yi Chunfeng was truly talented. He immediately stood up and said apologetically, "Please." Yi Chunfeng lightly nodded his head and followed by Jiangshui and Bai Xia to a two-story wooden building in the backyard. He saw Bai Xishan lying on a cold jade bed, his life hanging by a thread. From Bai Xishan's face, it was obvious that he already had 1 foot in the Yellow Springs and could die at any moment. When Yi Chunfeng took his pulse, he found that his body was like a huge furnace, extremely hot. All the meridians in his body were extremely weak from the heat. If it wasn't for the wealthy Bai family finding this cold jade bed to suppress the heat in Bai Xishan's body, Bai Xishan might have already died. Master Chun, can my father still be saved? Bai Jiangshui saw that Yi Chunfeng had finished taking his pulse and asked anxiously, "If I'm not wrong, your father should be poisoned." Yi Chunfeng slowly said as he combined the medical inheritance in his mind. Poisoned? That's impossible. My father's injuries should have been caused by his cultivation going berserk, Bai Jiangshui said with a frown. He once again doubted Yi Chunfeng's medical skills. City Lord Bai, have you ever thought that although the injuries caused by qi deviation are serious, they are not incurable? I heard that City Lord Bai even invited the imperial physician of the imperial city to treat your father's injuries, but they were still unable to alleviate your father's condition. When Yi Chunfeng saw the questioning look in Bai Jiangshui's eyes, he said faintly, "That's right. Imperial physician Su carefully examined my father's body, but was unable to find the root of the illness." Bai Jiangshui nodded. "That's because the poison in your father's body is one that Imperial physician Su has never seen before. Furthermore, the poison has seeped deep into his bones. If I'm not mistaken, your father should have eaten a fire attribute spirit fruit before his illness flared up." Yi Chunfeng deduced after combining the memories in his soul. What Master Chin said is correct. My father did eat a Mars date not long ago. However, that Mars date was bought by my Bai family at an auction in the Imperial City, so there shouldn't be any problems. Bai Jiangshui said without hiding anything. However, his doubts about Yi Chunfeng were dispelled, and a glimmer of hope appeared in his heart. City Lord Bai, your esteemed father must have swallowed the Mars red dates in one gulp, right? Furthermore, your esteemed father must not have only swallowed the Mars red dates. He must have swallowed something else as well. Yi Chunfeng deduced. That's right. The Mars date is extremely rare. My father was afraid that it would damage the spirituality of the Mars date, so he swallowed a whole. After eating the Mars date, my father also drank a bottle of meridian protecting water to protect his meridians from being damaged by the heat released by the Mars date. Bai Jiangshui nodded, completely believing in Yi Chunfeng's medical skills. That's right. The Mars date meat isn't poisonous, but the Mars date seed contains fire poison. Furthermore, your father drank the meridian protecting water when he ate the Mars date, causing the fire poison in the Mars date seed to be unable to be expelled from his body through his pores. Instead, it slowly eroded into his bone marrow, worsening his condition. Then Master Chun, can my father be saved? Bai Jiangshui completely put down the airs of a city lord and sincerely asked, I will do my best to treat him. Yi Chunfeng said in a low voice, You all stand to the side. Do not disturb me. when I'm treating the illness. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences. Although fire poison was extremely stubborn and difficult to treat in the secular world, Yi Qinfeng's heavenly profound needle was the nemesis of fire poison. Thank you, Master Chun. I'll leave my father in your hands. As long as you can treat my father, my Bai family will definitely reward you greatly, Bai Jiangshui said gratefully. Together with the lovely Bai Xia, he stood to the side and waited. Yi Chunfeng came to Bai Shishan's side and released his soul power, shattering his clothes and revealing a skinny, skeleton-like body. Looking at Bai Shishan's skinny body, Bai Xia's eyes immediately reddened. Her heart ached for her grandfather. Who? Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and took out a box of silver needles from his medicine box. Following the heavenly profound needle technique, he released his soul power into the tip of each silver needle. With a light flick of his finger, the silver needles seemed to have opened their eyes and were ready to be inserted into Bai Shishan's acupuncture points. Seeing Yi Qinfeng's smooth needle technique, Bai Jiangshui and his daughter opened their eyes wide in disbelief. The two of them were completely convinced by Yi Qinfeng's miraculous medical skills. When the 108 silver needles were inserted into the 108 acupuncture points on Bai Shishan's body, the soul power contained in the silver needles repeatedly stimulated the acupuncture points all over his body, producing waves of bone-chilling cold air that cleansed the fire poison in his body. There's hope. Father can be saved. While Yi Qinfeng was inserting the needles, Bai Jiangshui released his soul power to observe. When he felt waves of heat coming out of Bai Shishan's body through his pores, he couldn't help but become excited. At first, Yi Qinfeng's heavenly profound needle technique was very smooth, but slowly, Yi Qinfeng's weakness of lacking soul power was exposed, and controlling the heavenly profound needle became more and more difficult. However, in order to earn the reward of 100,000 taels of silver, Yi Chunfeng clenched his teeth and bitterly persevered. He continuously channeled his soul force into the 108 silver needles, forming waves of pure cold air and dispelling the fire poison. About an hour later, more than half of the ice jade bed under Bai Shishan's body was corroded by the fire poison, and the fire poison in his body was basically cleared. It's almost done. The fire poison in Grandfather Bai's body is basically cleared. Yi Chunfeng, whose body was on the verge of collapse, pulled out the 108 silver needles. He wiped the sweat on his forehead and said in a low voice, "He got rid of the fire poison so quickly." Bai Jiangshui raised his eyebrows and asked in disbelief. The fire poison that even the imperial physicians couldn't get rid of was completely removed by Yi Chunfeng in just over an hour. This made Bai Jiangshui feel incredulous. "I estimate that your father will wake up tomorrow. If City Lord Bai doesn't believe me, you can ask the 3 physicians outside to check your father's body. Then you'll know if I'm lying or not." The exhausted Yi Chunfeng supported himself on the bed as he weakly said, "All right, then Master Chun, please rest in the side room for a while." Chapter 11. Master Chun, are you all right? Because Yi Chunfeng was too weak, Bai Xia unavoidably came into contact with him when she was supporting him, which made the two of them feel slightly awkward. However, Bai Xia did not feel disgusted. After witnessing Yi Chunfeng's miraculous medical skills, the prideful Bai Xia was completely subdued, and she sincerely admired and praised him. "I'm fine. I can walk on my own." Yi Chunfeng squeezed out a smile, broke free from Bai Xia's support, and went to the side room to rest and recover his exhausted soul power. At the same time, 3 highly respected doctors came to Bai Shishan's room to check his injuries. When they carefully examined Bai Shishan's body, they were shocked to find that Bai Shishan's body was no longer in danger and was healing at an astonishing speed. "How are the 3 of you? How are my father's injuries?" Looking at the stunned faces of the 3, Bai Jiangshui asked nervously. "There's always someone better than you out there. Comparing our medical skills to Master Chen's, the difference is like heaven and earth. It's funny that we offended Master Chun in the beginning. We've sinned," a white-haired old doctor with a long beard said with a sigh, suppressing the shock in his heart. "So my father is fine?" Bai Jiangshui asked excitedly. Bai Shishan was the cornerstone of the Bai family and the #1 expert in White Emperor City. If something happened to him, it would be a heavy blow to the Bai family. It could be said that Yi Chenfeng saved the Bai family this time. Yes, Master Bai is fine. He should wake up tomorrow morning. The old doctor nodded. That's great. That's great. Grandpa is finally well. Bai Xia was so excited that tears filled her eyes, and 2 streams of tears flowed down from the corners of her eyes, dyeing her beautiful face. City Lord Bai, where's Master Chun? Can you help us pass on the message that the 3 of us want to meet him and apologize to him in person? The old doctor lowered his posture and pleaded. Okay, I will pass on the message. Bai Jianshui nodded and said. Dusk was closing in, and the last ray of the setting sun was still lingering on the horizon. Since Yi Chenfeng's soul power was severely depleted, he only managed to recover a portion of his soul power in the evening and woke up while adjusting his breathing. It's time to get my reward and leave. Due to the exposure of the heavenly profound needle, Yi Chenfeng, whose strength was limited, did not dare to stay in the mayor's mansion for too long in case of any accidents. When he opened the closed door, Bai Xia, who had been waiting outside, immediately stood up from the rattan chair and greeted him with a smile. Master Chun, you're awake. I think you should be able to confirm that old Master Bai's injuries are no longer serious, right? Yi Chenfeng looked at the beautiful Bai Xia and asked softly. Yes, our Bai family will never forget Master Chen's kindness. Bai Xia nodded and said gratefully, I only saved him for the reward. Now that he's cured, can you give me the reward? We have already prepared the reward. Grandmaster, please follow me. As she spoke, the tall and slender Bai Xia moved her slender and smooth legs and brought Yi Chenfeng to the Bai family's accounting room. Master Chun, in order to thank you for your kindness to our Bai family, our Bai family has decided to give you an extra 100,000 taels of silver. Here are 200,000 taels of silver. Please check it. Bai Xia handed a thick stack of silver to Yi Chenfeng. Many thanks. Yi Chenfeng did not stand on ceremony with Bai Xia and happily accepted the 200,000 taels of silver. Master Chun, you've worked hard today, so you should be hungry. We have already prepared a banquet. Please come with me to eat. Bai Xia warmly invited him. No need. Yi Chenfeng shook his head and said, All right, I still have things to do, so I'll be leaving first. Let's meet again if fate wills it. With that, Yi Chenfeng ignored Bai Xia's urge to stay and quickly left the mayor's mansion. When Yi Chenfeng left the mayor's mansion and was preparing to find a safe place to restore his true body, his sharp soul perception suddenly detected that someone was following him. High returns are indeed accompanied by high risks. Yi Chenfeng's eyes revealed a trace of sternness as he muttered, but sending a rank 2 spirit beast to follow me, they're looking down on me too much. Although Yi Chenfeng's realm was not high, he cultivated the 6 Meridians Divine Shield and completed the first transformation of his body. His strength had reached 500 kilograms, so he could easily kill the rank 2 spirit beast that was following him. Feeling that the rank 2 spirit beast that was following him was getting closer and closer, Yi Chenfeng slightly quickened his pace and controlled the soul-devouring art to restrain his aura, disappearing into a secluded alley. Where is he? Why did he suddenly disappear? When the rank 2 spirit beast followed Yi Chenfeng into the alley, he suddenly discovered that Yi Chenfeng's aura had disappeared. He was startled and hurriedly quickened his pace, looking around the alley. Just when he searched the middle of the alley, Yi Chenfeng suddenly rushed out from the dark corner like a silent ghost. Along with the vibration of his skin, the 500 kilograms of strength contained in his body surged into his right fist like a tide that broke through a dam. Stirring up the airflow, he bombarded the rank 2 spirit beast at close range. Suddenly being attacked, the rank 2 spirit beast reacted instinctively and quickly fused with the power of his spiritual beast to defend. However, the 500 kilograms of strength burst out from Yi Chenfeng's fist was enough to severely injure a rank 6 spirit beast, let alone him. With a crack sound, the rank 2 spirit beast that was attacked by the sneak attack had his chest caved in. His whole body drew a beautiful arc in the air and fell heavily into the alley. A large amount of blood spurted out from his mouth, and he had almost lost his combat ability. Tell me, who ordered you to follow me? Yi Chenfeng walked out from the darkness. Looking at the dying rank 2 spirit beast that was vomiting blood, Yi Chenfeng asked in an irresistible manner, "Kill me if you have the guts. It's impossible for me to betray my master," the rank 2 spirit beast said firmly. "Actually, even if you don't tell me, I can guess who sent you to follow me," Yi Chenfeng said lightly. "Do you think Lin Sanjun will fly into a rage if I kill you?" Being exposed by Yi Chenfeng, the rank 2 spirit beast's expression became slightly stiff. Although he recovered in an instant, his expression was still caught by Yi Chenfeng's sharp eyes. "Are you surprised that I can guess who your master is?" Yi Chenfeng smiled and said, "Actually, it's not hard to guess. Although the Bai family has a motive, they won't do anything to me before old Master Bai wakes up. During the day, I had a conflict with Lin Sanjun and used the Bai family to humiliate him. With his vengeful personality, he will definitely think of a way to take revenge on me. Don't you think my guess is correct?" Yi Chenfeng calmly analyzed the situation, slowly breaking down the heart of the level 4 spirit beast warrior. "If I tell you the truth, will you let me go?" "Sorry, I can't," Yi Chenfeng said without a trace of emotion. Suddenly, he stretched out his palm and pressed it on the rank 2 spirit beast's head. In the next moment, Yi Chenfeng operated the soul-devouring art at a high speed. A powerful devouring power formed in his palm and rushed into the rank 2 spirit beast's mind, forcibly devouring his spiritual beast. What a pure soul power! After devouring the rank 2 spirit beast's spiritual beast, Yi Chenfeng not only replenished his consumed soul power in an instant, but his own soul power also improved. Chapter 12. Early in the morning, a ray of gentle sunlight shone through the glass, illuminating the dark room. Just as the light in the room grew stronger, the unconscious Bai Shishan's eyebrows twitched. Then his tightly shut eyes slowly opened. "Grandfather, you're awake. You're finally awake." Bai Xia, who was guarding by his side, could no longer hold back the tears in her eyes when she saw Bai Shishan, who had been unconscious for more than 10 days, finally wake up. She threw herself at the bedside and cried out emotionally, "Xia, who saved me?" Bai Shishan asked weakly as he gradually regained consciousness when he saw Bai Xia crying her eyes out. "Grandfather, it was Master Chun who saved you," Bai Xia said as she wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. "Master Chun? Are there any imperial physicians with the surname Chun in the imperial city?" Bai Shishan asked doubtfully. In his opinion, the person who could save him from the gates of hell was most likely an imperial physician. "Father, the person who saved you wasn't an imperial physician, but a young man with an unfamiliar face." Bai Jiangshui continued. "What a young man! How old is he?" Bai Shishan raised his eyebrows as his heart was in turmoil. That Master Chen should be around 20 years old. His medical skills are the best I've ever seen. He only used an hour to save you from the gates of hell." Because Yi Chenfeng was wearing a human skin mask, Bai Jiangshui could only make a vague guess. However, even he felt that it was ridiculous after saying it. Around 20 years old and possessing medical skills that surpass an imperial physician. Could that person be from an illusory sect? Bai Shishan's snow-white eyebrows twitched slightly as he muttered to himself. Sects were existences that surpassed the secular imperial authority. Those high and mighty sects in the fighting spirit continent could influence the rise and fall of a country. Sects? That's right. Only a genius from a sect could have such godly medical skills. Bai Jiangshui's eyes lit up as he agreed. "Jiangshui, is that divine physician still in the residence?" Bai Shishan asked as he sat up with Bai Xia's help. "He left after getting his reward last night. We couldn't keep him." Bai Jiangshui said somewhat regretfully, "Fortunately, I doubled the reward and more or less formed a good relationship with him. If Yi Chenfeng really came from a sect, it was definitely worth it for the Bai family to befriend him at all costs. It's good to form some good karma." Bai Shishan nodded and said, "Jiangshui, Xia, when you have nothing to do, go to the city and walk around. If you see that genius doctor again, you must invite him back." "All right." Bai Jiangshui and his daughter nodded. Just as the Bai family's father and daughter were looking for Yi Chenfeng's whereabouts with hope, Lin Sanjun, who had suffered a great loss and lost face, was also looking for him. However, the father and daughter of the Bai family were looking for Yi Chunfeng to repay a debt of gratitude, while Lin Sanjun was looking for revenge. Forests, deep ponds, cranes, late autumn. Early the next morning, Yi Chunfeng, who had recovered his true body, spent nearly 180,000 taels of silver to purchase 16 low-grade soul crystals and entered the Baiyun mountain range to cultivate. Beside a quiet pond in the depths of the Baiyun mountain range, Yi Chunfeng held 2 milky white, low-grade soul crystals in his hand, circulating the soul-devouring tactic at high speed to devour and cultivate. After an unknown period of time, the sound of 2 crystals shattering suddenly rang out. The 2 low-grade soul crystals in Yi Chunfeng's hand lost their luster and turned into powder, falling through the gaps between his fingers and falling to the ground. Peak rank 1 spirit beast. My physical strength has increased by 10%. Sensing the changes in his body, Yi Chunfeng revealed a faint smile. He took out another 2 precious low-grade soul crystals and continued to circulate the soul-devouring tactic to devour and cultivate. Streams of pure soul power rushed into Yi Chunfeng's body like an unstoppable tide and were devoured by the blood egg in his soul. As the blood egg devoured more and more soul power, a crack appeared on the surface of the blood egg. When this crack became clearer, a powerful soul power gushed out from the blood egg and broke through the bottleneck in one fell swoop, breaking through to the second-rank spirit beast realm. The instant Yi Chunfeng's cultivation broke through, he opened his tightly shut eyes. Beams of light shot out from them. After breaking through to the second-rank spirit beast realm, Yi Chunfeng's soul power had increased by more than 2 times, and his physical strength had reached 1,500 kilograms of physical strength. The reason why he could break through to the second-rank spirit beast realm so quickly was all thanks to the soul-devouring tactic. The formidable, devouring power of the soul-devouring tactic was beyond imagination. Sigh, if only I had an inexhaustible supply of low-grade soul crystals. As his strength increased, more and more low-grade soul crystals would be consumed. If Yi Chunfeng wanted to increase his strength in a short time, he had to find a way to earn money to exchange for low-grade soul crystals or directly devour the enemy's spirit beast. Just as he was consolidating his realm with all his strength, a frightened woman's scream suddenly sounded in the quiet mountain forest, disturbing him. What a familiar voice. Who is it? Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly and glanced at the northeast mountain forest. After hesitating for a while, he still rushed over. Little beauty, I advise you not to make any futile struggle. No one can save you here. It's useless even if you shout until your throat is hoarse. A middle-aged man in a black robe, with a medium build and an obvious scar at the corner of his eye, licked his scarlet lips and said excitedly. In front of him stood a young woman in a tight black training suit. Her figure was exquisite and charming, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of her mouth. If Yi Chunfeng was here, he would be able to recognize at a glance that this charming woman was none other than Xiao Jingyuan, the eldest daughter of the Qiao family who used to have a good relationship with him, but was now a stranger. Don't come over. If you dare to hurt me, I guarantee that the Qiao family won't let you off. The injured Xiao Jingyuan warned in horror as she retreated. At this moment, she was filled with regret. She shouldn't have entered the Baiyun mountain range alone to cultivate. If not for her rash actions, she wouldn't have encountered the rapist and put herself in danger. Little beauty, don't be afraid. I'll be very gentle. Looking at Xiao Jingyuan's beautiful appearance, the black-clothed man became even more excited. Soul beast, golden winged bird. At this critical moment, the injured Xiao Jingyuan didn't just sit there and wait for death. She clenched her teeth and summoned the golden-winged bird that the black-clothed man had just scattered to make a last stand. Xiao Jingyuan was only a rank 2 soul beast, while the black-clothed man was a rank 4 soul beast. Her golden-winged bird couldn't pose a threat to the black-clothed man at all. As the black-clothed man fused his black bear into the black staff in his hand, a white light appeared on the staff and increased its offensive power. Bang! A loud sound was heard. The black-clothed man's staff smashed Xiao Jingyuan's golden-winged bird into pieces like a hot knife through butter. A powerful backlash surged into Xiao Jingyuan's mind and injured her soul, causing a large amount of blood to flow out from her 7 orifices. After suffering a series of soul force recoils, Xiao Jingyuan, whose soul was severely injured, became abnormally weak. Her legs went soft, and she collapsed to the ground. At this moment, Xiao Jingyuan was truly afraid. She didn't dare to imagine her fate. Hot tears flowed uncontrollably and stained her charming face. What? Not struggling anymore. The black-clothed man looked at the despairing Xiao Jingyuan with a smile on his face. He walked up to her and took out a yellow paper bag, saying, "Come here, little beauty. Eat this obediently, and I'll take good care of you." With that, the black-clothed man ignored Xiao Jingyuan's resistance and forced the white powder in the yellow paper bag in her mouth. You bastard. You won't have a good ending." Xiao Jingyuan could guess what the black-clothed man was feeding her and cursed in despair. "Ha, little beauty, it'll be even better when the medicine takes effect." Xiao Jingyuan's cursing didn't make him stop. Instead, it made him even more excited. As the black-clothed man came closer and closer, Xiao Jingyuan revealed a miserable and despairing expression. Chapter 13. Not good. Sensing the danger behind him, the black-clothed man, who was about to pounce at Xiao Jingyuan, felt his heart throbbing. He abruptly lowered his body and dodged Yi Qinfeng's powerful punch with a weird posture. Although he dodged the direct attack, Yi Qinfeng's powerful punch made his blood boil, making it difficult for him to breathe. Who are you?" The black-clothed man took a deep breath and suppressed the surging blood in his body. He looked at Yi Qinfeng with some apprehension and said with a gloomy face. Xiao Jingyuan, who was in despair, saw Yi Qinfeng, who appeared at the critical moment like a god descending to the mortal world, and her lifeless eyes shone with light. When she stared at Yi Qinfeng, she felt a sense of familiarity deep in her heart, as if they had known each other before. The person who will kill you. Although Yi Qinfeng didn't have a good impression of the snobbish and arrogant Xiao Jingyuan, he wouldn't just watch her step into the fire pit without doing anything. He said with murderous intent, "You think you could do it?" After calming down, the black-clothed man found that the soul power flowing in Yi Qinfeng's body wasn't strong, far inferior to his own. He secretly heaved a sigh of relief and controlled his black bear to merge into his body. After increasing his soul power, he waved his black staff and smashed it at Yi Qinfeng's head. The black-clothed man smashed the staff in his hand, but Yi Qinfeng didn't dodge. He waved his fist to meet the sharp staff shadow. Seeing this scene, the black-clothed man revealed a sinister smile. "Using your fist to block my black serpent staff. If I don't smash your arm, I'll take your surname." The hope that had just risen in Xiao Jingyuan's heart was shattered. In her opinion, blocking the black-clothed man's all-out attack with his hand was no different from suicide. Crack! Yi Qinfeng's fist, which was filled with 1,500 kilograms of force, collided with the black serpent staff descending from the sky. Immediately after, a crisp shattering sound rang out. However, it wasn't Yi Qinfeng's fist that cracked. Instead, it was the black-clothed man's black serpent staff that was covered in snake scales. The smile on the black-clothed man's face instantly froze. A strong rebounding force passed through the black iron rod and into his hand. The strong rebounding force cracked the web between his thumb and forefinger. He almost lost his grip on the black serpent rod. In the next moment, Yi Qinfeng suddenly took a step forward with his right foot, and a muffled sound rang out from under his foot. His whole body was like a flying arrow leaving the bow, getting close to the man in black. Before he could make a second reaction, Yi Qinfeng's shoulder, which was full of 500 kilograms of force, broke through the spiritual beast's defense and heavily hit his chest. Pooh! The black-clothed man's chest immediately caved in and several of his bones broke. He spat out a mouthful of blood uncontrollably. His entire body was sent flying by Yi Qinfeng's shoulder, drawing a beautiful arc in the air before crashing heavily onto the ground. With his body severely injured, the black-clothed man was scared. With the help of the spiritual beast's power, he forcibly suppressed his injuries and turned around to jump into the bushes behind him. As soon as the black-clothed man fled, Yi Qianfeng immediately chased after him. Just as he jumped into the bushes, the spiritual beast, the black bear, which was lying in ambush in the bushes, suddenly appeared, opened its bloody mouth, and bit Yi Qianfeng's neck. Suddenly attacked by the black bear, Yi Qianfeng didn't panic. The skin all over his body vibrated quickly, and 1,500 kilograms of force was instantly poured into his fists. With one punch, he smashed the black bear to the ground. "No, don't kill me." With the black bear severely injured, the black-clothed man immediately suffered a backlash of soul power. A large amount of blood spurted out of his mouth. Facing death, he was scared and kept begging for mercy. Hearing the black-clothed man's begging for mercy, Yi Qianfeng was unmoved. He ran the soul-devouring tactic at a high speed. A blood-colored vortex appeared in his palm, and he pressed it on the seriously injured black bear's body, crazily devouring the black bear's soul power. In just 3 breaths, the black bear was swallowed by Yi Qianfeng's soul-devouring tactic. Pooh! With his spiritual beast devoured, the black-clothed man's soul was immediately severely injured. A mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth. His eyes turned black, and he fainted on the spot. What a pure soul power! The effect of directly devouring the spiritual beast is much better than absorbing low-grade soul crystals. After devouring the black bear, Yi Qianfeng felt a stream of pure soul power pouring into the blood egg along the crisscrossing meridians. In just 5 breaths, his strength reached the peak of the 2nd-level spirit beast realm, and he was only 1 step away from breaking through to the 3rd-level spirit beast realm. With the improvement of his strength, Yi Qianfeng immediately came to the unconscious black-clothed man. Without any hesitation, he broke his neck and ended his evil life. After killing the black-clothed man, Yi Qianfeng looted all of his belongings. He obtained 68,000 taels of silver, 5 inferior grade soul crystals, and a blood-red medicinal pill that was warm and moist. Blazing fire elixir. This man actually has a blazing fire elixir. Yi Qianfeng once wanted to buy a blazing fire elixir that could improve the physical potential in the White Cloud shop. But because the blazing fire elixir was a 5th-grade elixir, it was very rare and difficult to buy even with money, so he had to give up. But now, a blazing fire elixir was placed in front of him, which made him unexpectedly happy. With the help of this blazing fire elixir and the low-grade soul crystals in his possession, he was confident that he could cultivate the 2nd level of the 6 Meridians Divine Shield realm to the Small Success realm. After looting the black-clothed man's belongings, Yi Qianfeng immediately turned back and found that Xiao Jingyuan had been poisoned. Moreover, it was an aphrodisiac. At this moment, the effects of the aphrodisiac had already taken effect, and Xiao Jingyuan's body was hot and dry. Yi Qianfeng was only 15 years old and had never experienced such a thing. Looking at Xiao Jingyuan's flushed skin and charming face, Yi Qianfeng's mouth was dry and a strange feeling surged in his heart. At this moment, Xiao Jingyuan, who was getting more and more poisoned, looked at Yi Qianfeng in front of her and took the initiative to crawl over and hug him tightly. Xiao Jingyuan's action made Yi Qianfeng sober up a little. He quickly moved his eyes away from Xiao Jingyuan's hot body and bit the tip of his tongue. Under the stimulation of pain, he suppressed the fire in his heart and struck Xiao Jingyuan's neck, knocking her out. "You're lucky to have bumped into me. If it were anyone else, they would probably be ruthless." Yi Qianfeng took a deep breath and cleared his mind of distracting thoughts. He took out the silver needles hidden in his clothes and quickly used the heavenly profound needle on Xiao Jingyuan's smooth body to expel the poison from her body. About 10 minutes later, the poison in Xiao Jingyuan's body was gradually expelled by the heavenly profound needle. Her furrowed brows slowly relaxed, and her breathing became even. Chapter 14. Not long after Yi Qianfeng left, Xiao Jingyuan, who had just escaped death, woke up from her coma. The moment she opened her eyes, she immediately became nervous. Her face turned pale, and her body curled up into a ball. Tears flowed uncontrollably from the corners of her eyes. Clothes? Whose clothes are these? Did I not get violated? Just as Xiao Jinyuan endured the pain in her heart and checked her body, she found that she was covered with clothes, and there were no traces of being violated. It's him. He saved me. At this moment, Xiao Jinyuan suddenly recalled the scene of Yi Chunfeng appearing like a god and attacking the black-clothed man. A glimmer of hope appeared in her desperate heart, and she continued to check her body. Thank God, I wasn't violated by that evil thief. He really saved me. After confirming that her body was still clean, Xiao Jinyuan shed tears of excitement. She was very grateful to Yi Chunfeng for saving her from the clutches of the devil. Who is the person who saved me? Why does his face look so unfamiliar, but it gives me a sense of déjà vu, as if we know each other? Could it be him? As she thought about it, Yi Chunfeng's figure jumped out of her mind. Then, she shook her head hard and said, self-deprecatingly, "It can't be him. He's just a trash without a spiritual beast. How could he have the ability to save me?" After saving Xiao Jinyuan, Yi Chunfeng did not leave Baiyun Mountain Range. Instead, he went to the depths of Baiyun Mountain Range and found a remote, deep pool. This place is not bad. Let's refine the blazing flame pill here. Yi Chunfeng soaked his body in the bone-chilling cold pool water. He took out the porcelain bottle containing the blazing flame pill, unplugged the stopper, and poured out the blood-red and very warm blazing flame pill. Feeling the heat contained in the blazing flame pill, Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath, adjusted his internal breath, and swallowed the blazing flame pill directly into his stomach. After about a minute, Yi Chunfeng felt his stomach begin to heat up. Waves of scorching energy were slowly released from his stomach, seeping into his internal organs and muscles. At this moment, Yi Chunfeng felt as if he had fallen into a heated brick bed. The scorching energy instantly spread throughout his body, making him feel as if his body was on fire. The immense pain caused all the muscles in his body to tremble. If it wasn't for the cold air of the pond counteracting a portion of the raging flame pill's medicinal effect, Yi Chunfeng wouldn't have been able to endure this kind of pain. From the pinnacle of his life to the lowest point, Yi Chunfeng had cultivated a firm heart and an unyielding spirit. But the process of absorbing the Inferno pill's medicinal efficacy and tempering his body was too painful. It was so painful that his mind nearly collapsed. In the face of unbearable pain, Yi Chunfeng could only grit his teeth and bitterly persevere. He circulated the 6-meridian divine shield over and over again, refining the medicinal power of the intense flame pellet into his body and accelerating the transformation of his cells. Slowly, a large amount of black blood seeped out from his open pores, and the cells in his body became purer and purer. As Yi Chunfeng's body emitted more and more heat, the bone-chilling pond water became hotter and hotter. A large amount of fog formed on the surface of the pond and was slowly blown by the wind. Persevere, this bit of pain is nothing. I will definitely succeed. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and sped up the circulation of the 6-meridian divine shield to the greatest extent. He controlled the cells in his body to quickly fuse with the medicinal power of the intense flame pellet. 1 hour, 2 hours. Just as Yi Chunfeng bitterly persevered for 3 hours and his mind was on the verge of collapse, suddenly, his cells began to divide. More black and smelly blood was expelled from his body. Physical transformation, rebirth of the body. Sensing the changes in his body, Yi Chunfeng finally heaved a sigh of relief. He continued to endure the pain in his body and completed the transformation of his body bit by bit. Finally, when the last bit of medicinal power of the intense flame pellet was fused into Yi Chunfeng's body, the cells in his body had more than doubled in size. A lot of the impurities in his body had also been expelled. At this moment, although Yi Chunfeng's body was very weak, he felt extremely carefree. The transformation of his body's strength had increased exponentially. However, there was still a big gap between him and the great accomplishment realm. The second level of the 6-meridian divine shield, the flesh refinement realm, is indeed not that easy to cultivate. Feeling the changes in his body, Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself. However, He was not disappointed. As long as he was given enough cultivation resources, he was confident that he could cultivate the 6 realms of the 6 meridian divine shield and cultivate his physical strength to the extreme. With the increase in his physical strength, Yi Chen-feng washed the impurities expelled from his body and left the pond. He came to an ancient tree that was more than 10 meters tall. It would require 4 people to wrap their arms around it to encircle it. He tested his physical strength. Yi Chen-feng let out a roar. All the muscles in his body vibrated, and a powerful force was poured into his right fist. It formed layers of fist wind and bombarded the ancient tree that was more than 10 meters tall. With a kacha sound, the ancient tree was unable to withstand the explosive force from Yi Chen-feng's fist. A large number of cracks spread on the surface of the thick and solid tree trunk. When the cracks spread to the entire tree trunk, the ancient tree that was more than 10 meters tall was snapped in half. The lush treetop heavily smashed onto the ground, crushing more than 10 small trees and causing the ground to tremble violently. A strength of 2,500 kilograms. With my current strength, I wonder if I can fight against a rank 1 beast illusionist. Feeling the increase in strength after the transformation of his body, Yi Chen-feng revealed a satisfied smile. Currently, he could crush a rank 6 spiritual beast master and challenge a rank 1 beast illusionist with just his physical strength. However, after breaking through to the beast illusionist realm, he would be able to cultivate terrifying soul skills. It would be very difficult for him to defeat a beast illusionist with just his physical strength. Since the potential of his physical body could not be increased in a short period of time, Yi Chen-feng decided to try and break through to the rank 3 spiritual beast master realm to increase his strength. Compared to the transformation of his physical body, increasing his soul power was easier for Yi Chen-feng, who cultivated the soul-devouring tactics. Under the full power of the soul-devouring tactics, the soul power from the low-grade soul crystals quickly flowed into Yi Chen-feng's body and was devoured by the blood egg in his soul. When the last low-grade soul crystal lost its soul power and turned into a pile of powder, another clear crack appeared on the surface of the blood egg. Following that, a strong soul power gushed out from the blood egg and merged with Yi Chen-feng's body, pushing the soul power in his body to increase steadily. Very quickly, he broke through the bottleneck and reached the rank 3 spiritual beast master realm. In just one day, Yi Chen-feng broke through from a rank 2 spiritual beast master to a rank 3 spiritual beast master. This kind of cultivation speed was unimaginable in the Zijin kingdom. It was enough to show how precious and important the soul tactics were. It's time to go back. Yi Chen-feng took a deep breath and stood up beside the deep pool. He stretched his body and left the Baiyun mountain range in the evening. Chapter 15. The night wind rustled. When Yi Chen-feng returned to his rented courtyard in the dark night, he vaguely saw a slender and elegant figure standing outside the courtyard. Startled, he stopped. How could it be her? Why has she come to White Emperor City? Although he had not seen her for many years, Yi Chen-feng still recognized her at first glance. She was the #1 beauty of Violet Gold Imperial City, Ji Qingxue, who had been betrothed to him when he was a child. Yi Chen-feng had long since given up on any fantasies about Ji Qingxue, but when he first saw her, he was still stunned. Her features were exquisite, her long black hair casually draped over her shoulders, and her body was curvaceous. Her temperament was elegant and outstanding. In particular, her large eyes were filled with intelligence. With just a glance, one could not help but linger in them, unable to extricate themselves. Yi Chen-feng stared blankly at Ji Qingxue. Ji Qingxue was also sizing him up. His cheeks were delicate and pretty, and his eyes were as deep as the sea. Because he had tempered his body for a long time, there was not a single shred of fat on his body. His tall and straight body exuded a faint masculinity. Although Ji Qingxue felt that Yi Chen-feng had changed a little, his bare upper body made Ji Qingxue frown and feel repulsed. From this small detail, the good impression she had of Yi Chen-feng vanished like smoke. After a moment of hesitation, Yi Chen-feng slowly walked over and asked, Why have you come? I have some business with you. Ji Qingxue softly replied. You've come to ask me to cancel the engagement, right? Yi Chunfeng guessed at Ji Qingxue's purpose in looking for him, so he got straight to the point. What? Do you really want to break off the relationship with me? Ji Qingxue was startled, her eyes shining as she looked at him. Could it be that you don't want to? Yi Chunfeng faintly smiled and asked in return. If I said I don't want to, would you believe me? Ji Qingxue said. If I wanted to cancel the engagement, I would not have come myself. Then you've come because... Yi Chunfeng frowned, unable to figure out Ji Qingxue's purpose in suddenly visiting. What? Aren't you going to invite me in? Ji Qingxue calmly looked at Yi Chunfeng. She discovered that Yi Chunfeng had really changed. If it was in the past, even if he restrained himself, Yi Chunfeng would still be slightly excited when he saw her. But now Yi Chunfeng was looking at him with a gaze so calm that it was a little frightening. If you don't mind my dirty place, then come in. As he spoke, Yi Chunfeng pushed open the vermilion door, which was badly chipped with paint, and led Ji Qingxue into the messy courtyard. Looking at Yi Chunfeng's living environment, Ji Qingxue couldn't help but frown. As the pearl of the Ji family, she had never been to such a place. Thinking that she would have to live with Yi Chunfeng in such a dirty and messy place in the future, Ji Qingxue's resolute heart was slightly shaken. However, when she thought of the overbearing Jiang clan, the consequences of falling into Jiang Shanshui's hands, and the illusory path of cultivation, Ji Qingxue's wavering heart became firm again. Do you want some water? Yi Chunfeng took a set of clothes from the inner room and put them on before coming to the simple outer room. He looked at Ji Qingxue, who was standing in a room like a fairy, and asked softly, Thank you, but I'm not thirsty. Ji Qingxue shook her head. Her voice was as moving as an aureole. Tell me, why did you come all the way here to find me? You can't be here just to see me, right? Yi Chunfeng sat on a badly worn wooden armchair and looked at Ji Qingxue as he asked. He's really different now. A thought appeared in Ji Qingxue's mind. However, when she thought of how Yi Chunfeng could not change the fact that he did not have a spiritual beast, she quickly dismissed the distracting thoughts in her mind. I want to get married to you. Ji Qingxue hesitated for a moment, bit her rosy lips, and told him her true purpose. Get married? Yi Chunfeng raised his eyebrows, and a slight ripple appeared on his calm face. He stared straight at Ji Qingxue's beautiful face and said, Don't beat around the bush. With your talent and status, you would never be willing to marry a piece of trash like me who was chased out of the Yi clan. Are you in trouble and want to use me as a shield? Ji Qingxue did not expect Yi Chunfeng to be so sharp. His straightforward question disrupted all the plans in her mind, leaving her a little speechless. Tell me your true purpose, or I'll see you out, Yi Chunfeng said without a trace of emotion. His resolute tone made Ji Qingxue feel a little guilty. I am indeed in trouble. Ji Qingxue took a deep breath and told Yi Chunfeng about her encounter in full detail. Jiang Shanshui is pursuing you. Why do you want to use me as a shield? Do you think the Jiang clan will believe that you are willing to marry a piece of trash? Yi Chunfeng said with a self-deprecating smile. Because we were engaged when we were young. This is something that the entire Zijin Imperial City knows. Moreover, regardless of whether they believe it or not, as long as our marriage becomes a reality, with Jiang Shanshui's arrogant character, there is a great possibility that he will give up on me. My grandfather will also give up on the idea because of the family scandal. Most importantly, I have now cultivated to the realm of a 6th-rank spiritual beast. If I can break through to the realm of a spiritual beast illusionist at the age of 16, I think my grandfather will not sacrifice me. Because her little trick was seen through by Yi Chunfeng from the beginning, Ji Qingxue could only change her strategy. She put down her status and face and begged him bitterly. Ji Qingxue, I don't know if you have thought about the consequences of this matter. Although Yi Chunfeng, who had obtained the supreme inheritance, was not the same as before, he was still too weak now. He was unable to go against the #1 clan of the Zijin Empire, the Jiang clan. If he was not careful, he might be consigned to eternal damnation. I know this is very unfair to you. The Jiang clan might take revenge on you because of this matter, but I really have no other choice. I don't want my life to be ruined by that bastard Jiang Shanxue. Please help me. Ji Qingxue said pitifully. At this moment, Yi Chenfeng really wanted to refuse, but after all, he used to like Ji Qingxue a lot. He didn't want to see her being ruined by Jiang Shanxue. Looking at her miserable and helpless expression, Yi Chenfeng's heart softened. Yi Chenfeng, I want to promise you that after this matter is settled, I will give you a large sum of money and let you go far away. At that time, even if the Jiang clan wants to take revenge on you, it will be impossible. Looking at Yi Chenfeng, who had sunk into deep thought, Ji Qingxue bit her red lips and promised, "Can you pay this amount of money in advance?" Yi Chenfeng was in dire need of money now. If he could buy enough cultivation resources now, with the inheritance he had obtained, his strength would increase by leaps and bounds. At that time, even if the Jiang clan wanted to take revenge on him, they would have to think twice. "Sure, how much do you want?" Ji Qingxue didn't expect that the hesitant Yi Chenfeng would change his mind because of money. She revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. 1,000,000 silver notes. Yi Chenfeng said indifferently, "Right now, I only have 300,000 taels of silver on me. However, I promise you that I will find a way to gather 1,000,000 taels of silver for you." Ji Qingxue took out a stack of banknotes and looked at Yi Chenfeng as she spoke. "Deal." Yi Chenfeng took the silver notes from Ji Qingxue and agreed. Chapter 16. As the night deepened, the soft lights illuminated the entire White Emperor city. The entire city was like a beautiful woman hugging a peepa that covered half of her face. While it was full of allure, it also carried a bit of history. "It's getting late. You should rest early. I'll go out first." The two sat together and had nothing to say. Yi Chenfeng glanced at the pitch-black night sky outside the window and got up to leave. "Chenfeng, don't go yet. I still want to ask you for a small favor." Ji Qingxue hurriedly called out to him. She bit her lips and said with a slightly red face, "What is it?" Yi Chenfeng frowned slightly as he asked in a neutral tone. I want to use the memory stone to record some scenes of us sharing a bed." Although Ji Qingxue's impression of the money-grubbing Yi Chenfeng was getting worse and worse, she couldn't help but feel a bit awkward when it came to sharing a bed. Sure, Yi Chenfeng knew what Ji Qingxue wanted these scenes for. He nodded and very happily agreed. "Yi Chenfeng, wait a moment and come in. I'll change into my pajamas first." In order to make her grandfather and Jiang Shanxue completely give up, Ji Qingxue went all out. She lightly bit her alluring red lips. After saying this, the slightly red Ji Qingxue took her bag and walked into the inner room to change her clothes. After a while, Ji Qingxue's pleasant voice sounded from the inner room. "Yi Chenfeng, come in." After entering the inner room, Yi Chenfeng used the dim light to clearly see Ji Qingxue in a tight black nightgown sitting by the bed and looking at him. The tight-fitting nightgown perfectly outlined her exquisite body that could make any man infatuated. Her sparkling and translucent skin and sexy and symmetrical collarbones created an invisible temptation under the light. Although Yi Chenfeng had already given up on Ji Qingxue, he had to admit that at this moment, Ji Qingxue was so beautiful that it took one's breath away. "Yi Chenfeng, I'll have to trouble you." Meeting Yi Chenfeng's gaze, Ji Qingxue felt uncomfortable all over. Fortunately, she was confident that she could completely control Yi Chenfeng and was not afraid that he would mess around. "Don't worry. Since I've taken your money, I'll cooperate fully." Yi Chenfeng shifted his gaze away from Ji Qingxue's seductive body and slowly walked to the bedside. He took off his coat, revealing his smooth upper body, and leaned against the headboard with Ji Qingxue, who was slightly reserved. "Who?" Ji Qingxue took a deep breath and suppressed the nervousness in her heart. She took out the memory stone that she had prepared beforehand and placed it at the end of the bed. She recalled the scene of her sharing a bed with Yi Chenfeng. Opening the memory stone, the two of them seemed to have discussed it beforehand. Pulling aside the blanket, they lay down on the somewhat hard wooden bed. Their bodies were tightly pressed together. The faint fragrance emitted from Ji Qingxue's body gave Yi Chenfeng a strange feeling in his heart. He could not help but take a deep breath and move his body slightly. Sensing Yi Qinfeng's small movement, Ji Qingxue frowned and felt a little angry. However, in order to complete her mission, Ji Qingxue suppressed the disgust in her heart and intimately pressed her head against Yi Qinfeng's shoulder. She closed her eyes and tried her best to forget Yi Qinfeng beside her. For a moment, the entire room fell silent. Only the sound of their even breathing could be heard. At first, Ji Qingxue was still a little unaccustomed to being so close to Yi Qinfeng. However, feeling the waves of heat coming from Yi Qinfeng's skin, Ji Qingxue's restless heart seemed to have found a spiritual harbor and calmed down. Ever since Jiang Shanshui had forced her to marry him, Ji Qingxue had been under tremendous pressure, which had greatly affected her martial heart. However, lying next to Yi Qinfeng, all the worries and pressure in her heart disappeared. Slowly, she forgot her worries, forgot the people beside her, forgot everything. Under the peaceful feeling, she snuggled up against Yi Qinfeng's shoulder and fell asleep. Sensing Ji Qingxue's even breathing, Yi Qinfeng knew that she had fallen asleep. He gently turned his head and glanced at her devastatingly beautiful face. He shook his head, got dressed, and left. Early in the morning, a gentle ray of sunlight shone through the glass, illuminating the pitch-black room and waking Ji Qingxue up from her deep sleep. I actually fell asleep. When Ji Qingxue slowly opened her eyes, she suddenly sat up. Her delicate face revealed an expression of disbelief. She could not imagine that she had actually fallen asleep on the shoulder of an annoying person without any precaution. A trace of lingering fear arose in her heart. He didn't do anything to me, right? When she thought of this, Ji Qingxue's heart tightened. She hurriedly took down the memory stone at the end of the bed and somewhat nervously looked at the memories. When she saw that she had fallen asleep on Yi Qinfeng's shoulder and that Yi Qinfeng had not done anything improper to her, she breathed a sigh of relief. She muttered to herself, "At least you're honest. If you had dared to touch me, I definitely wouldn't have let you off." However, when she saw herself snuggled up against Yi Qinfeng's side and the serene smile on her face, Ji Qingxue revealed a trace of confusion and doubt. She could not understand why this feeling of tranquility, which was like a spiritual harbor, was actually brought to her by Yi Qinfeng. Phew, I've completely consolidated my cultivation. After cultivating for most of the night in the side room, Yi Qinfeng had completely consolidated his cultivation as a third-rank spiritual beast. The soul energy flowing out of the blood egg in his head had reached a resonance with his body. After consolidating his cultivation, Yi Qinfeng woke up early and left the Earth Courtyard. He walked to the White Emperor Academy in the east of White Emperor City to find Yi Xiling to return the money. Amen. Yi Qinfeng, you finally appeared. I've been looking for you for several days. When Yi Qinfeng walked into the White Emperor Academy, Di Wanxian coincidentally saw him. When he thought of how he had been framed by Yi Qinfeng and suffered an undeserved calamity, Di Wanxian's eyes were filled with a sinister light. Yi Xiling, are you awake? Yi Qinfeng came to Yi Xiling's small courtyard and lightly knocked on the door. Yi Qinfeng, why are you looking for me again? Hearing Yi Qinfeng's voice, Yi Xiling frowned slightly. After hesitating for a moment, she put on her clothes and opened the door. She coldly looked at Yi Qinfeng outside and spoke in an unfriendly tone. Don't misunderstand. I'm here to return the money. Yi Qinfeng looked at Yi Xiling, who was wearing a thin dress and had exquisite facial features. He took out 30,000 taels of silver and stuffed it into her hands. Looking at the 30,000 taels of silver in her hands, Yi Xiling frowned slightly and said in a low voice, I said that I'm giving you this money. You don't need to return it. I have money now, and I don't want to owe you anything. I especially don't want to owe the Yi family anything. After speaking, Yi Qinfeng did not hesitate and turned to leave. Looking at Yi Qinfeng's back, Yi Xiling, who was holding the 30,000 taels of silver, fell into deep thought. She had a feeling that Yi Qinfeng was different from before. Chapter 17. Yi Qinfeng, where are you going? Just as Yi Qinfeng was about to leave the White Emperor Academy, a sarcastic voice entered his ears. Di Wanxian, who had been waiting for a long time, led 3 experts of the D family to surround Yi Chunfeng outside the White Emperor Academy. They wanted to take revenge on him. Diwan Xian, what's wrong? Are you flaunting your prowess again after recovering from your injuries? Yi Chunfeng sneered as he looked at Diwan Xian, who was wearing gorgeous clothes and had a malicious smile on his face. Little bastard, you dared to set me up last time. This time, if I don't break your legs and skin you alive, I'll change my surname to yours. Diwan Xian's eyes were burning with flames as he gnashed his teeth. Don't. I don't have a son as big as you. Yi Chunfeng said sarcastically with his hands behind his back. Damn it. You are about to die, yet you are still so stubborn. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and break his legs so that he can talk to me while kneeling. Diwan Xian ordered exasperatedly. Break my legs? Yi Chunfeng's cold eyes swept over the 3-rank, 4-spirit beast tamers. The corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. In the next moment, the skin all over Yi Chunfeng's body vibrated. A powerful force erupted like a volcano and entered his entire body. Bam! A muffled sound was heard from the hard ground. Yi Chunfeng made use of the powerful recoil force to accelerate his body. Before the 4 of them could react, he had already appeared in front of them. His right hand suddenly stretched out, his fingers spread open and clawed at Diwan Xian's throat. His terrifying speed created a faint sound that pierced through the air, stimulating one's eardrums. Diwan Xian's smile froze when Yi Chunfeng's fingers grabbed his throat. His face turned the color of a pig's liver, and his breathing became rapid. You're courting death, kid. Diwan Xian's 3 followers came back to their senses when they saw Yi Chunfeng grab Diwan Xian's throat. They quickly merged with each other's spirit beasts and boosted their own strength, wanting to take Diwan Xian back. Why? Do you want to watch me choke him to death? Yi Chunfeng's lips curled up as he used his right hand to lift Diwan Xian, whose face was flushed and his breathing was rapid. Let me go. Diwan Xian's breathing became even more difficult when he was lifted into the air. Yi Chunfeng's throat, Diwan Xian's mouth wide open as he struggled to howl like a duck that was being choked. At that moment, Diwan Xian was truly afraid. He saw a trace of killing intent in Yi Chunfeng's ice-cold eyes. That caused his heart to sink to the bottom. He was endlessly terrified. Kid, let young Master D go if you don't want to die. Otherwise, we will make you regret being born. The 3D family experts warned him with gloomy faces, afraid that Yi Chunfeng would snap Diwan Xian's neck in a fit of anger. If that happened, they would not be able to escape punishment even if they killed Yi Chunfeng in the end. Make them kneel down. Yi Chunfeng ignored the 3's warning. He looked at the purplish-black Diwan Xian and ordered, not allowing any resistance. Cough. Kneel down. All of you kneel down. Diwan Xian was scared out of his wits by Yi Chunfeng and did not dare disobey his orders. Thus, he shouted at the top of his lungs. Why? Aren't you going to kneel down? Do you really think that I don't dare to kill him? Yi Chunfeng looked at the 3 indifferent people and continued to exert force on Diwan Xian's neck. Diwan Xian was in so much pain that he wanted to die. His legs, which were hanging in the air, struggled violently. Stop! We will kneel down. Upon seeing that Diwan Xian was about to be choked to death by Yi Chunfeng, the 3D family experts gritted their teeth and knelt down in humiliation. Very good. Yi Chunfeng nodded his head and looked coldly at Diwan Xian, whose face had turned purple. Diwan Xian, I will spare you this time. If there's a next time, I guarantee that you will end up in a miserable state. Upon saying that, Yi Chunfeng exerted force on his right hand and threw Diwan Xian away like he was throwing garbage. He landed heavily on the ground. The moment Yi Chunfeng threw Diwan Xian away, the 3D family experts, who had been kneeling on the ground, jumped up rapidly and attacked Yi Chunfeng together. You are courting death. Although Yi Chunfeng's cultivation level was not as high as the 3 of them, his physical strength was enough to completely crush them. Slap! A crisp slap was heard. The D family expert, who was the first to approach, was sent flying by Yi Chunfeng's slap. His body was like a kite with a broken string, drawing a beautiful arc in the air before landing heavily more than 10 meters away. Then Yi Chunfeng reached out with both hands at an extremely fast speed and grabbed the fists of the other two men. When they felt the force from Yi Chunfeng's 5 fingers, the 2D family experts' faces changed drastically. They hurriedly controlled their respective spirit beasts to inject soul power into their fists to increase their offensive strength. In an instant, their fists, which had been grabbed by Yi Chunfeng, shone with a dazzling white light. The muffled roars of their spirit beasts could be heard. "You are too weak." Yi Chunfeng was unmoved by the sudden increase in their offensive strength. As he exerted force on his 5 fingers, more than 2,500 kilograms of force crushed their fists. The immense pain made them squeal like pigs being slaughtered. White bone spikes pierced their skin, which was a ghastly sight. Then, Yi Chunfeng's palms, which were filled with terrifying power, slapped them on their shoulders. The huge force severely injured the spirit beasts in their bodies and forced them to kneel on the ground. Diwan Xian, it seems like I have to leave you with an unforgettable memory. After relying on his oppressive strength to severely injure the 3D family experts, Yi Chunfeng walked step by step towards Diwan Xian, whose face had changed drastically. Diwan Xian no longer had the time to think about how Yi Chunfeng had become so powerful after not seeing him for a few days. All he could do now was feel fear. "Don't be agitated, Yi Chunfeng. They were the ones who attacked you, not me. If you want to take revenge, you should take revenge on them," Diwan Xian said without any backbone. "Is that so?" Yi Chunfeng stared coldly at the frightened Diwan Xian and said, "Kneel down." "You!" Diwan Xian's face twitched as he looked at Yi Chunfeng with an ugly expression. "I don't like to repeat myself. If you don't kneel down, don't blame me for breaking your legs," Yi Chunfeng said with a murderous intent as he stared coldly at Diwan Xian. Plop! Diwan Xian, who had been insufferably arrogant a moment ago, couldn't withstand Yi Chunfeng's terrifying murderous intent. He knelt on the ground in humiliation, his arrogance shattered. Who is that person? How dare he force Diwan Xian to kneel down in front of everyone? Isn't he afraid of the D family's revenge? I don't know that person, but I reckon that his identity is even more frightening if he dares to humiliate Diwan Xian in front of everyone. The surrounding crowd started discussing the scene of Yi Chunfeng forcing Diwan Xian to kneel down. As Diwan Xian knelt down in humiliation, 4 law enforcers happened to pass by. When he saw the 4 law enforcers in the distance, Diwan Xian felt as though he had seen a life-saving straw. Thus, he shouted loudly, "Help! Help! Captain Su, someone wants to kill me." When he heard Diwan Xian's cry for help, Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly as several thoughts flashed through his mind. Given the D family status in White Emperor City, it would be difficult for him to escape alive if he was taken away by the law enforcers. Chapter 18. Move aside. Move aside. What happened here? Who is committing murder here? The crowd parted to make a path, and 4 armed law enforcers appeared. "Captain Su, I am Diwan Xian. This villain wants to kill me. Please save me quickly." Diwan Xian, who was kneeling on the ground, shouted at the top of his lungs when he saw the 4 law enforcers walking over slowly. He was even more agitated than when he saw his own father. Young Master Diwan Xian was the eldest son of the wealthy D family. So many law enforcers recognized him. When Captain Su and the others saw Diwan Xian being forced to kneel, they were shocked. They immediately looked at Yi Chunfeng and tried to guess his identity. "Captain Su, this person is a lawless villain. He has no background. As long as you help me capture him, the D family will definitely reward you handsomely." When he saw the hesitant Captain Su and the others, the smart Diwan Xian immediately guessed what they were worried about. Thus, he promised loudly, "No background." Hearing Diwan Xian's words, Captain Su calmed down. His gaze instantly turned cold as he looked at Yi Chunfeng. He shouted, "Who gave you the guts to commit murder in public?" "Commit murder in public? It seems like they provoked me first. However, their fists aren't as strong as mine, so I beat them up," Yi Chunfeng said indifferently with his hands behind his back. "How dare you be so arrogant in front of me?" Captain Su's eyes shone with an ominous glint. "Why are you all in a daze? Take him down. If he dares resist, Kill him without mercy. What great authority! Yi Qianfeng sneered. A strong pressure erupted from his body like a volcano. He was like a lone wolf that had been hiding for a long time and bared his sharp fangs. When they sensed the terrifying pressure from Yi Qianfeng's body, the two law enforcers near Yi Qianfeng trembled. Fear filled their hearts instantly, causing them to stop in their tracks subconsciously. They didn't dare approach him. "You, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to use violence to resist the law?" Captain Su did not expect Yi Qianfeng to be so powerful. He gulped and braced himself to warn him. "If you're not afraid of death, then come at me together. However, you will bear the consequences yourselves." Yi Qianfeng looked coldly at Captain Su and the others and said with a murderous intent, "You." Captain Su and the others were shocked by Yi Qianfeng's strong sense of oppression. No one dared to approach him blindly. Di Wanxian, who was kneeling on the ground, was also stunned. Sensing the killing intent emitted by Yi Qianfeng, beads of sweat appeared on his forehead as his body trembled slightly. Just as the situation was extremely tense and a great battle was about to break out, Xiao Jingyuan, who was wearing a long red dress and had a graceful figure, walked out of the White Emperor Academy with her sexy long legs and shouted, "Yi Qianfeng is my friend. Who dares to touch him?" Miss Xiao. Although the Di family and Xiao family were both wealthy families in Pale Emperor City, the Xiao family status far surpassed the Di families. Seeing Xiao Jingyuan, Captain Su, who was in a dilemma, secretly heaved a sigh of relief and respectfully greeted her. Yeah, Yi Qianfeng did not expect that Xiao Jingyuan would appear at this time to help him. He frowned slightly and wondered if he had exposed his identity when he saved her back then. However, on second thought, Xiao Jingyuan was heavily poisoned back then, and he had disguised himself. The possibility of her recognizing him was very small. Furthermore, even if she recognized him, Yi Qianfeng would not admit it. Xiao Jingyuan was very beautiful, but she was too materialistic. Yi Qianfeng did not have any intentions toward her, nor did he want to develop a deeper relationship with her. "Yi Qianfeng, I have something to discuss with you. Can we talk in private?" Xiao Jingyuan, who was as arrogant as a peacock, ignored Captain Su and looked at Yi Qianfeng with a complicated gaze. When Yi Qianfeng was teaching Di Wanxian a lesson, Xiao Jingyuan coincidentally saw it. When she saw Yi Qianfeng showing off his might, the figure in her mind gradually overlapped with Yi Qianfeng's figure. "Miss Xiao, your friend just beat up young Master Di for no reason. If we let him go just like that, we won't be able to answer to the Di family," Captain Su said with difficulty. "If you can't answer to the Di family, how are you going to answer to the Yi family? He was once a member of the Yi family. My Yi family will not sit by and watch him be wronged." Before Xiao Jingyuan could react, Yi Xiling, who had heard the news, appeared outside Pale Emperor Academy. Hey, Yi Qianfeng did not want to owe the Yi family any more favors, but unknowingly, he still owed Yi Xiling a favor. The Yi family of the Imperial City. If Xiao Jingyuan's appearance made Captain Su apprehensive, Yi Xiling's appearance made him change sides. If he offended the Yi family of the Imperial City, there would be no place for him in the entire kingdom of Zijin, let alone Pale Emperor City. "I'm sorry, young Master Yi. I didn't recognize you earlier and offended you. Please be magnanimous and don't lower yourself to my level." Captain Su realized that Yi Qianfeng's identity was not simple and immediately changed his attitude. He lowered his head and apologized. "Scram," Yi Xiling said coldly. She hated people who changed sides according to the wind. I'll scram. Captain Su and the others were like birds that were startled by the twang of a bow and left in a hurry. After Captain Su left, Di Wanxian, who was scared out of his wits, did not dare to stay any longer. He crawled up from the ground and fled as fast as he could. "Thank you." After Di Wanxian and the others left, Yi Qianfeng nodded at Yi Xiling and thanked her. "Yi Qianfeng, you're on your own now," Yi Xiling said, and returned to the White Emperor Academy. After everyone left, Xiao Jingyuan looked at Yi Qianfeng and asked softly, "Yi Qianfeng, I have something to ask you. Can you answer me honestly?" "What is it?" Yi Qianfeng asked, even though he already knew the answer. Were you the one who saved me that night? Xiao Jingyuan looked at Yi Chunfeng with a complicated gaze. There was some anticipation in her eyes, but also some hesitation. That night? What do you mean? Did you get the wrong person? Yi Chunfeng frowned and pretended to be puzzled. It really wasn't you? Xiao Jingyuan looked disappointed when she saw Yi Chunfeng's puzzled gaze. Although she didn't believe that the one who saved her that night was Yi Chunfeng, the scene of Yi Chunfeng teaching Di Wanxian a lesson was too similar to the person who had entered her mind that night. I'm sorry, I really don't know what you're talking about. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and said, It's fine. I still have something to do, so I'll take my leave first. Xiao Jingyuan didn't find any flaws in Yi Chunfeng's expression. She laughed at herself and lost interest in him. Xiao Jingyuan. Looking at Xiao Jingyuan's beautiful figure as she left, Yi Chunfeng sighed softly in his heart. After obtaining the soul-devouring brain's inheritance, he already had a much bigger stage. The Zijin kingdom would only be a fleeting memory for him. Chapter 19. The autumn wind rustled, and the gentle sunlight shone down on the streets and alleys, creating specks of golden light. After returning the 30,000 taels of silver to Yi Xiling, Yi Chunfeng used the remaining banknotes to purchase 8 low-grade spirit crystals and 2 raging flame pills. Sigh, I have less than 500 taels of silver left from the 300,000 taels of silver. It seems that if I want to obtain more and better cultivation resources, I must enter the heavenly flame martial house. Looking at the remaining banknotes, Yi Chunfeng helplessly sighed and muttered to himself. The Sky Fire Martial House was a 3rd-grade sect, and the Sky Fire sect was the only martial house in the Zijin Kingdom. The examination was extremely harsh, and unless one was a genius among geniuses, it was impossible to pass the Sky Fire Martial House's examination and enter to cultivate. However, once one passed the examination and entered the Sky Fire Martial House, they would be able to obtain the supreme divine abilities passed down by the Sky Fire sect, as well as numerous soul skills and a large amount of cultivation resources. Originally, Yi Chunfeng did not dare to dream of entering the Sky Fire Martial House to cultivate, but now that he had obtained the inheritance of the Soul Devourer, he was completely confident. Why is she here? Just as Yi Chunfeng returned to the small courtyard he rented with cultivation resources, he was surprised to see Bai Xia in the courtyard. She was chatting with Ji Qingxue under a tree. Today, Bai Xia was wearing a jade-green chiffon dress. Her exposed, snow-white skin was dazzling under the sunlight, and her slender legs were like deadly poison, emitting an alluring charm. Chunfeng, you're back. Seeing Yi Chunfeng at the entrance of the courtyard, Ji Qingxue revealed a charming smile, like a newlywed wife. She stepped forward and held onto his arm, affectionately speaking. Qingxue, who is this? Yi Chunfeng looked at the tall and slender Bai Xia, whose appearance was comparable to Ji Qingxue's, and asked softly. This is Bai Xia, my best friend in the White Emperor's city. Xia, this is Yi Chunfeng, whom I'm going to entrust my life to. We've already privately pledged our lives. Ji Qingxue introduced him affectionately. Why are these eyes so familiar? When Bai Xia carefully sized up Yi Chunfeng, who was dressed simply, she discovered that his eyes were as black as ink and as deep as the ocean. She had seen such deep eyes once before. Master Chun, who possessed superb medical skills, also had a pair of deep eyes. Moreover, their figures were extremely similar, as if they were the same person. Chunfeng, this should be the 2nd time we've met. Are you the Master Chun who saved my grandfather? Bai Xia looked at Yi Chunfeng with burning eyes and asked straightforwardly. She wanted to find some clues from his face. What Master Chun? Yi Chunfeng's heart was so strong that he didn't show any flaws on his face. He pretended to be surprised and said, Did you get the wrong person? You got the wrong person? Bai Xia frowned slightly and looked at Yi Chunfeng over and over again. The feeling in her heart grew stronger and stronger. Although Yi Chunfeng was very young, for some reason, she always had a feeling that Yi Chunfeng was that Master Chun. Xia, what are you talking about? What Master Chun? Ji Qingxue looked at Bai Xia's slightly excited face and asked with a puzzled expression. Qingxue, do you remember the thing I just mentioned to you? I feel that Chung Feng is the master Chun who saved my grandfather's life. Bai Xia didn't give up and continued. She looked at Yi Chunfeng's expression from the corner of her eye. Xia, I think you must have the wrong person. Chung Feng doesn't even have a spiritual beast. How can he treat injuries with acupuncture? If Chung Feng really has such superb medical skills, I would have invited him back to the imperial city to treat my grandfather's old injuries long ago, Ji Qingxue said with a faint smile. Due to the existence of the God-Eater brain, Ji Qingxue couldn't detect the changes in Yi Qinfeng's soul. She didn't know that he had already condensed a spiritual beast and broken through to the level of a third-level spiritual beast. He doesn't have a spiritual beast. Bai Xia frowned slightly. She knew that without a spiritual beast, there would be no soul power in the body. When that master treated injuries with acupuncture, he did release his soul power. Well, although Chung Feng doesn't have a spiritual beast, he is very talented and very hardworking. I think as long as he works hard, he can still make a name for himself in the future. In order to make Bai Xia believe that she and Yi Qinfeng had privately pledged their lives to each other, Ji Qingxue pretended to be sweet. I'm sorry, Qingfeng. It's mainly because you look very similar to that Master Chun. I mistook you for someone else. Bai Xia sighed softly in her heart and said apologetically, It's okay. Yi Qinfeng had a good impression of Bai Xia and responded with a smile. It's almost noon. Qingfeng, treat us to a meal at the celestial immortal residence. I miss the food there very much, Ji Qingxue suggested softly. The celestial immortal residence is too expensive. Let's eat at home. After buying a large number of cultivation resources, Yi Qinfeng only had less than 500 taels of silver left. He didn't want to spend this kind of money in vain. Ji Qingxue was so infuriated by Yi Qinfeng's reply that she almost vomited blood. She didn't expect Yi Qinfeng to be so stingy even after she gave him 300,000 taels of silver. He couldn't even bear to spend a mere few hundred taels of silver. More importantly, her good friend Bai Xia was still by her side. This made her lose face. When Bai Xia heard Yi Qinfeng's words, she also revealed a trace of astonishment. At this moment, she completely believed that she had indeed mistaken him for someone else. The Master Chin in her heart was definitely not a person who haggled over every ounce. However, with her understanding of Ji Qingxue, how could the proud Ji Qingxue, who had countless pursuers, be willing to marry a stingy man who didn't have a spiritual beast? Seeing Ji Qingxue's expression change slightly, Yi Qinfeng helplessly sighed in his heart and said gloomily, All right, let's go to the celestial immortal residence to eat, but don't order too expensive dishes. I really don't have much money on me. I know. Ji Qingxue gritted her silver teeth and said heavily. If it weren't for the fact that they were only halfway through the plan, the annoyed Ji Qingxue would have already fallen out with the stingy Yi Qinfeng. Her disgust for him grew even stronger. The celestial immortal residence was indeed worthy of being the highest grade restaurant in Baidi City. The food was delicious and the aftertaste was endless. Ji Qingxue was full of praise as she ate. From time to time, a charming smile would appear on her devastatingly beautiful face. However, Yi Qinfeng was a little depressed because this meal had practically eaten all of his silver. If he didn't think of a way to earn more money, then he would have to starve for the rest of his life. All right, Qingxue, the day after tomorrow is my grandfather's 70th birthday. I want to invite you and Chung Feng to attend together. Do you have time? Bai Xia invited before they parted. Of course we have time. The day after tomorrow, Chung Feng and I will definitely be there on time. Ji Qingxue agreed without even thinking. On the other hand, Yi Qinfeng silently sighed. After this meal, he only had about 20 taels of silver left. He simply didn't have enough money to buy a gift. All right, then I'll see you the day after tomorrow. Bai Xia revealed a charming smile and separated from Yi Qinfeng and Ji Qingxue outside the celestial immortal residence. Chapter 20. Yi Qinfeng, you clearly have 300,000 taels of silver. Why must you make me lose face in front of Xia? Are you doing this on purpose? As soon as Xia left, the smile on Ji Qingxue's face immediately disappeared. She angrily looked at Yi Chunfeng and angrily said, Ji Qingxue, I think you've forgotten one thing. That 300,000 taels of silver is already mine. How I want to spend it is my business. Also, you still owe me 700,000 taels of silver, so please rein in your temper. Otherwise, I might go back on my word and continue to act with you. Yi Chunfeng coldly replied. He did not accommodate Ji Qingxue because of her status and appearance. Ji Qingxue was choked speechless by Yi Chunfeng. Her beautiful big eyes were filled with small flames of anger. Also, if you want to give me a gift the day after tomorrow, you'd better think of a way yourself. I don't have spare money to buy you a gift. After saying this, Yi Chunfeng no longer paid any attention to Ji Qingxue, who was gnashing her teeth in anger. He turned around and walked towards the earth courtyard he rented. Yi Chunfeng, I hate you to death. As the pearl of the Ji family, Ji Qingxue had never been ignored like this. Looking at Yi Chunfeng's departing figure, she angrily stomped her feet. However, when she thought of her own situation and the evil Jiang Shanshui, Ji Qingxue could only restrain the anger in her heart. She gave up her dignity and silently followed Yi Chunfeng back to the earth courtyard she loathed. The night was silent. The cold moonlight poured down on White Emperor City, giving the dark city a rare glimmer of light. After returning to the earth courtyard, he directly went to the side room and closed the door. He took out a low-grade soul crystal and began to cultivate by using the soul-devouring art to break through to the 4th-rank spirit beast realm. The angry Ji Qingxue did not disturb him. After returning, she immediately shut herself in the room and did not even come out to eat dinner. As the night grew darker and darker, Yi Chunfeng was completely immersed in his cultivation. His sharp senses suddenly detected 3 unfamiliar auras quietly breaking into the courtyard and slowly approaching the main house. I was just worrying about not having enough cultivation resources, and here you are delivering yourself to me. Yi Chunfeng opened his tightly shut eyes, the corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. Who are you? However, before Yi Chunfeng could make a move, Ji Qingxue, who was furious and unable to sleep, sensed danger. She quickly put on her clothes and rushed out of the room, fighting fiercely with 3 men in black with daggers in their hands in the courtyard. Although Ji Qingxue was fighting 1 against 3, she was extremely talented and had already broken through to the 6th-grade spiritual beast realm. In addition, her spiritual beast, the ice bird, was of a high level. Once they started fighting, she immediately gained the upper hand and completely suppressed the attacks of the 3. Screech! The ice bird spread its wings and let out a long cry. It drew a beautiful arc in the dark night sky and pierced through the attacks of the 3 people. Its blade-like wings cut open the chests of the 3 people, causing a large amount of blood to spurt out. Retreat! After seeing how terrifying Ji Qingxue was, the 3 men in black, who had been preparing to assassinate Yi Chunfeng, immediately wanted to retreat. They endured the wounds on their chests and quickly fled out of the courtyard, disappearing into the night sky. Humph, cowards! Ji Qingxue realized that Yi Chunfeng had not shown up from beginning to end when she was fighting with the 3 men in black. She thought that he was too scared to come out, so she despised him even more in her heart. However, Ji Qingxue did not know that Yi Chunfeng was not in the room at the moment. He had already left the room and was hiding outside, preparing to kill the 3 men and devour their spiritual beasts. Damn it, what bad luck! Why is there such a powerful woman in that guy's courtyard? If we had not run fast enough, we would have probably died there today. One of the black-clothed men covered his bleeding chest and cursed. Big brother, now that we have failed to assassinate Yi Chunfeng, how are we going to explain to young Master D when we return? Sigh. When we return to the D family, we can only tell him the whole story. I hope that young Master D will at least give us some compensation to treat our wounds on account of our loyalty. Why? Do you still want to go back? Just as the 3 of them were fleeing in the direction of the D family mansion, a ghostly voice entered their ears. The cold voice rang in their ears, causing their hearts to tremble. When they turned their heads, they saw a cheetah-like figure catching up with them and blocking their way. "Who are you?" The three men in black looked at the black figure blocking their way, as if they were facing a formidable enemy, and asked vigilantly, "Didn't you want to assassinate me? Why don't you recognize me when you see me now?" With his hands behind his back, Yi Chunfeng looked at the three men indifferently with the help of the bright moonlight. "You are Yi Chunfeng," the three men in black said in unison, looking incredulous. According to the information that Di Wanxian had given them, Yi Chunfeng was just a good-for-nothing without a spiritual beast. There was nothing to be afraid of. "That's right, it's me." With his hand behind his back, Yi Chunfeng walked towards them step by step. "Since you want to die, we will fulfill your wish." Although Yi Chunfeng's appearance was very strange, they knew that they had no way out. They quickly merged with each other's spiritual beasts to increase their own soul power. Then, they took out sharp daggers and launched a fatal attack on Yi Chunfeng together. The three of them were all 5th-level spirit beasts. With their merged spiritual beasts, their attack speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they appeared in front of Yi Chunfeng. The three daggers wrapped in white soul power stabbed towards Yi Chunfeng's chest, wanting to pierce his heart and end his life. In the face of the fatal attacks launched by the three men, Yi Chunfeng didn't dodge. As the skin all over his body vibrated, more than 2,500 kilograms of strength surged into his fist. Only a crack sound could be heard. Yi Chunfeng's fist, which was filled with terrifying strength, directly smashed a sharp dagger and hit the chest of the man in black in the middle, directly penetrating his sternum. His body fell from the sky like a kite with a broken string and crashed to the ground. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Yi Chunfeng sent one of them flying with a punch. The remaining two men in black stabbed their daggers into his chest. However, Yi Chunfeng, who cultivated the 6th Meridian Divine Shield and cultivated his flesh to the small success realm, had extremely strong skin defense. The two sharp daggers only left 2 bloodstains on the surface of his skin and didn't cause any harm to his body. Just as the two men in black were terrified of Yi Chunfeng's terrifying physical defense, Yi Chunfeng's palms, with a strong sense of oppression, heavily pressed on their chests, causing their chests to collapse. They fell to the ground and lost consciousness. Relying on his absolute physical strength to severely injure the three men, Yi Chunfeng immediately came to their side, operated the soul-devouring art, and devoured their spiritual beasts. What pure soul power! Sensing the changes in the soul power in his body, Yi Chunfeng revealed a faint smile. 3,000 taels of silver notes. When Yi Chunfeng ended the lives of the three men and dug a hole to bury them, he unexpectedly found 3 banknotes worth 1,000 taels of silver on their bodies. With these 3,000 taels of silver notes, Yi Chunfeng's urgent need was solved. Chapter 21. In the early morning, a thin layer of rose-colored sunrise appeared in the east. The light of dawn intertwined with the thin morning mist, igniting the mountains and rivers. Phew! I've finally broken through to become a 4th-level spiritual beast. After cultivating for most of the night, Yi Chunfeng broke through as he wished. The 3rd crack appeared on the blood egg in his soul. At this time, Yi Chunfeng had a feeling that when the power contained in the blood egg grew stronger and more cracks appeared on its surface, he might be able to hatch a spiritual beast that belonged to him. Just as Yi Chunfeng was sitting cross-legged in the room to consolidate his cultivation, a series of urgent knocks on the door woke him up from his cultivation. "Good morning." Yi Chunfeng opened the door and found Ji Qingxue, who was wearing a white gauze dress and had an elegant temperament, standing outside the room like a fairy. "It's still early. It's almost noon." Ji Qingxue rolled her eyes at Yi Chunfeng and said, "Yi Chunfeng, do you know that you were assassinated last night? If it wasn't for me, you might have been dead by now." "Assassinated last night? That's impossible. Why didn't I hear anything?" Yi Chunfeng pretended to be surprised and said, "Yi Chunfeng, I really wonder if you were a pig in your previous life." Looking at Yi Chunfeng's surprised look, Ji Qingxue became more depressed and said coldly, "As a reward, you have to give me 2,000 taels of silver so that I can buy a birthday gift for Grandpa Xia." "I don't have money," Yi Qinfeng rejected without even thinking about it. If it wasn't for the unexpected gain last night, he would only have a few dozen taels of silver left. Ji Qingxue, on the other hand, asked for 2,000 taels of silver. You? Ji Qingxue was very angry at this stingy Yi Qinfeng. She gritted her teeth and said, "Consider the 2,000 taels of silver as a loan. After a while, I'll pay you back twice as much. Is that okay?" I said I don't have money, so I don't have money. You? How can you be so stingy? I didn't say I wouldn't pay you back. And I saved you last night. If it wasn't for me, you would have been killed. After being repeatedly rejected by Yi Qinfeng, Ji Qingxue was so angry that she stomped her feet. Her impression of the cowardly and petty Yi Qinfeng dropped to the extreme. All right. I'll give you 2,000 taels of silver. Looking at the enraged Ji Qingxue, who looked like she wouldn't give up until she got what she wanted, Yi Qinfeng had no choice but to take out 2 banknotes worth 1,000 taels of silver. He stuffed them into Ji Qingxue's hands and said, "Before you give me the remaining 700,000 taels of silver, don't borrow any more money from me. It wasn't easy for me to get my money. Keep your money for the rest of your life," Ji Qingxue said resentfully as she gripped the 2,000 taels of silver in her hand. Seeing Ji Qingxue leave in a huff, Yi Qinfeng helplessly shook his head. He closed the door and continued to circulate the soul-devouring tactics, swallowing low-grade soul crystals to consolidate his cultivation as a 4th-grade spirit beast. He was preparing for the White Emperor Martial House's year-end assessment in 2 months. According to past practice, those who obtained the top 3 positions in the White Emperor Martial House would be able to participate in the Sky Fire Martial House's final assessment. However, the Sky Fire Martial House's final assessment was extremely difficult. If Yi Qinfeng wanted to smoothly pass the assessment, he would have to work even harder in the remaining days. "Yi Qinfeng, these are the clothes I bought for you. Quickly put them on and accompany me to Xia's residence to celebrate Grandfather Bai's birthday." 2 days after Ji Qingxue disappeared, she once again knocked on Yi Qinfeng's door. She threw him a set of gorgeous clothes and coldly urged him to hurry up. After about 2 minutes, Yi Qinfeng walked out wearing a set of expensive clothes that fit him perfectly. Although Ji Qingxue hated the petty Yi Qinfeng from the bottom of her heart, after putting on the gorgeous clothes, Yi Qinfeng seemed to have changed into a different person. His facial features were as distinct as if they were carved. His pair of deep eyes emitted a cold light. His tall nose and moderately thick lips were brimming with a dazzling smile. Ji Qingxue couldn't help but look at him a few more times. Her disgust towards him lessened by quite a bit. Yi Qinfeng, Xia's father, is the White Emperor City's lord. Her grandfather is an influential figure in the kingdom of Zijin. When we reach the city lord's residence, try to speak as little as possible. Ji Qingxue was afraid that Yi Qinfeng would speak too much and embarrass her, so she solemnly reminded him, "Don't worry, I won't speak carelessly." Yi Qinfeng smiled and nodded his head as he promised. After agreeing, the two of them took the carriage that Ji Qingxue had hired earlier and arrived at the center of the White Emperor City. It occupied a large area and was extremely luxurious. There were many pavilions and lofts. Because today was the 70th birthday of the Bai clan's old master, Bai Shishan, the city lord's residence was decorated early in the morning. The winding walls of the residence were entwined with long, snake-like red silk, and large red lanterns were hung on the vermilion door. Waves of melodious music mixed with noisy laughter could be heard from the residence from time to time. However, Yi Qinfeng, who always liked peace and quiet, frowned. Let's go in." After getting off the carriage, Ji Qingxue intimately hugged Yi Qinfeng's arm and said softly. For some reason, when Ji Qingxue hugged Yi Qinfeng's arm, she didn't feel any disgust or disgust from the depths of her heart. Instead, her heart was calm. It was as if Yi Qinfeng was her support, the harbor of her soul. By Yi Qinfeng's side, she wouldn't be afraid of the biggest storm. "Qingfeng, Qingxue, you're here." Just as Yi Qinfeng and Ji Qingxue entered the bustling and jubilant city lord's residence, Bai Xia, who was busy in the front courtyard, immediately noticed them. Today, Bai Xia deliberately put on light makeup and wore a fiery red gem around her neck. The tight-fitting black dress accentuated her curvaceous figure vividly, and a pair of straight legs were faintly discernible under the cover of the black dress. Ji Qingxue also specially dressed up today, wearing a white gauze dress. She was even more beautiful than a fairy. When the two of them stood together, they immediately attracted the gazes of almost everyone in the surroundings. For a moment, the two of them became the absolute focus of attention. Diwan Xian, who was the woman beside that trash Yi Qinfeng. Lian Sanjun, who was dressed in gorgeous clothes, had a tall and straight figure and extraordinary appearance, looked at the extremely beautiful Ji Qingxue. His eyes immediately burst out with a fiery light as he asked Diwan Xian, who was beside him, "This is the first time I've seen that lady. She doesn't seem to be from the White Emperor City." The 3D family experts who had tried to assassinate Yi Qinfeng had died, so Diwan Xian didn't know about Ji Qingxue's existence. Damn it, I didn't expect that trash, who was expelled from the Yi family, would actually have such luck to hook up with such a stunner. However, such a beautiful lady is not someone he can match up to. A cold smile appeared on Lian Sanjuan's face. He started to have designs on Ji Qingxue. Naturally, Yi Qinfeng became his main target. However, what Lian Sanjun hadn't expected was that Yi Qinfeng was the person he had been painstakingly looking for to take revenge on. Chapter 22. Grandpa Bai, Qingxue is here to congratulate you on your birthday. May your fortune be as boundless as the East Sea, may your longevity be as long as the South Mountain, and may your cultivation reach a higher level. The fairy-like Ji Qingxue walked up to the red-faced Bai Xishan and placed a landscape painting into his hands as she spoke sweetly. Qingxue, when did you come to White Emperor City? Why didn't you inform your grandpa Bai in advance? Are you treating Grandpa Bai as an outsider? Bai Xishan called the dazzling Ji Qingxue to his side and said somewhat reproachfully, "Grandpa Bai, didn't I want to give you a surprise?" Ji Qingxue gently hugged Bai Xishan's arm and said somewhat coquettishly, "Also, I brought someone for Grandpa to meet today. Qingfeng wishes Grandpa Bai a longevity higher than the heavens and a fortune deeper than the sea." Yi Qinfeng knew the deep meaning behind Ji Qingxue's actions. Under her pleading gaze, he gently walked up to Bai Xishan, who he had saved from the gates of hell, and softly congratulated him. "Qingxue, he is?" Bai Xishan's snow-white eyebrows twitched slightly as he asked. "Grandpa Bai, he's called Yi Qinfeng. He's my betrothed husband. A few days ago, I snuck over to White Emperor City for him. Now, we're living together and have pledged ourselves to each other." Ji Qingxue's delicate cheeks flushed red as she said this somewhat bashfully. Living together and privately pledging our lives. Bai Xishan had heard of Yi Qinfeng's name and knew that he was abandoned by the Yi clan because he was unable to condense a spirit beast. He could not understand why Ji Qingxue was so insistent on marrying him. "Qingxue, does your grandfather know about this?" Bai Xishan felt that the situation was somewhat serious and asked in a serious tone. "I've already found someone to tell him. I think he will know in 3 days at the latest." Ji Qingxue said, "Sigh, since your heart already belongs to someone, Grandpa Bai will not persuade you anymore. I hope you can continue to be happy." Bai Xishan sighed softly in his heart. "Thank you, Grandpa Bai. We will leave first." With her goal achieved, Ji Qingxue did not stay for long. She took the initiative to hold Yi Qinfeng's hand and left the joyous main hall and went outside. "Ji Qingxue, are you satisfied now?" After leaving the main hall of the Bai family, Yi Qinfeng gently shook off Ji Qingxue's soft little hand. He looked at her coldly and said without a trace of emotion, "Yi Qinfeng, don't be angry. I promise after this incident, I won't use you as a shield again." For some reason, when Ji Qingxue met Yi Qinfeng's cold eyes, she panicked for a moment and promised. "Qingfeng, Qingxue, you must be hungry. I'll take you to eat something." At this time, the tall and slender Bai Xia walked out with her slender legs and suggested softly, "Okay, Qingfeng just told me that he's a little hungry." Ji Qingxue was afraid that Bai Xia would see through her, so she smiled sweetly and said softly, "Yeah, I'm starving. Yi Chen-feng revealed a charming smile. Suddenly, he reached out and wrapped his arms around Ji Qingshue's soft waist, pulling the slightly flustered Ji Qingxue into his arms. "What's wrong, Qingxue? Are you not feeling well? Why are you trembling?" Yi Chen-feng looked at Ji Qingshue's slightly flustered face and asked considerately. No, I'm fine." Ji Qingxue knew that Yi Chen-feng was deliberately taking revenge on her, but she didn't dare to show the slightest bit of abnormal behavior, so as to avoid falling short of success. She could only let Yi Chen-feng hug her tightly and take advantage of her. "Chen-feng, Qingxue, you two have such a good relationship." Looking at the two tightly hugging each other, Bai Xia said with some envy, "Xia, you will definitely find your own happiness." Ji Qingxue forced herself to calm down and said with a charming smile, "I hope so," Bai Xia said thoughtfully. In her mind, she couldn't help but think of Yi Chen-feng's disguised figure. Bai Xishan was a person of virtue and prestige in the Zijin kingdom. He was also the father of the current White Emperor City Lord. On his 70th birthday, almost all the families in the White Emperor City came to celebrate. In order to welcome these people, the Bai family prepared a feast with plenty of dishes. Just as Yi Chen-feng and the other two were walking towards the dining hall, Lien Sanjun and the others were walking towards them. However, Yi Chen-feng didn't want to pay attention to them. His right hand was tightly hugging Ji Qingshue's slightly restrained body as he wanted to go around Lien Sanjun and the others. However, when Yi Chen-feng brushed past Lien Sanjun and the others, a seductive woman wearing a tight black dress with a voluptuous figure and heavy makeup on her face suddenly screamed. Her scream instantly attracted the attention of almost everyone in the surroundings. Many pairs of surprised gazes were cast over. "Hanyin, what happened to you?" Lien Sanjun, who was beside the seductive woman, deliberately asked loudly with a cold smile that was hard to detect. He deliberately touched me just now." The seductive woman pointed her slender finger at Yi Chen-feng and blamed him. "Yi Chen-feng, I think you must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's gall. You even dare to harass my friend. Do you believe that I won't cripple you?" Lien Sanjun glared at Yi Chen-feng and warned him coldly. "Touched her." Seeing the crafty look in Lien Sanjun's and Hongyun's eyes, Yi Chen-feng guessed that they did it on purpose. He slightly raised the corner of his mouth and retorted without any trace of politeness. "I'm sorry, my taste is not as heavy as yours. Even if this kind of trash sent herself to me, I wouldn't touch her." "You." The seductive woman didn't expect that not only was Yi Chen-feng not afraid, he even humiliated her in front of everyone. Her face turned green with anger. She shook Lien Sanjun's arm with all her strength and said, "Sanjun, he harassed me and bullied me. You must avenge me." "Yi Chen-feng, we are honest people who don't do underhanded things. You dare to do it, but you don't have the guts to admit it?" Lien Sanjun revealed a sinister expression and asked aggressively, "You're really too boring." Yi Chen-feng shook his head and said, You despicable person." Seeing that more and more people were surrounding them, the seductive woman displayed her talent to the fullest. Her big eyes were filled with tears as she loudly criticized him, trying to attract the sympathy of the crowd. "Just now when we brushed past each other, you said that I touched your butt. Which eye did you use to see it? Don't say that you saw it with your third eye. I can clearly tell you that you can't see it with your third eye. Also, do you think that you are more beautiful than my wife? To be honest, for someone like you, even if you stripped naked and stood in front of me, I still wouldn't be moved." Looking at the seductive woman, Yi Chen-feng continued to refute with words. "You." The seductive woman was so angry that her whole body was trembling. A never-before-experienced humiliation and anger spread in her heart. "Yi Chen-feng, do you really think that I don't dare to touch you?" Lien Sanjun angrily stared at Yi Chen-feng. A powerful, baleful aura spread out from his body. "I think this is your true goal." Yi Chen-feng slightly raised the corner of his mouth and said indifferently, "But I will fulfill your wish." Chapter 23. "Stop, Lien Sanjun. Today is my grandfather's 70th birthday. If you dare to be impudent, don't blame me for being impolite." Just as Yi Chen-feng and Lien Sanjun were about to draw their swords, Bai Xia couldn't stand it anymore. She stood in front of Yi Chunfeng and warned him loudly. Ji Qingshue's face also darkened. Although she didn't like Yi Chunfeng, she didn't believe that Yi Chunfeng would harass a woman who was far less beautiful than him in public. Xia, it's not that I don't want to give you face, but this brat is too hateful. Lien Sanjun didn't expect that Bai Xia would stand up for Yi Chunfeng. He became even more furious as he spoke in a low voice. I believe in Chengfeng's character. He wouldn't do such a thing. Bai Xia ignored Lien Sanjuan's angry gaze and supported Yi Chunfeng. I also believe that Chengfeng was wronged. I hope you won't provoke us again. Otherwise, I will make you regret it. Ji Qingxue warned coldly. Yi Chunfeng, you coward. Do you only know how to hide behind a woman after doing such a despicable thing? Where was your aura just now? Are you still a man? Lien Sanjun looked at Bai Xia and Ji Qingxue, who supported him and targeted him. His face was so gloomy that it was about to drip water. It could be said that his plan to humiliate Yi Chunfeng and attract Ji Qingxue was ruined. Facing Lien Sanjuan's provocation, Yi Chunfeng wasn't affected at all. He slowly said, Qingxue, Xia, their target is me. If they don't achieve their goal, they won't give up. Let me deal with this. Chengfeng, Lien Sanjun is a rank 3 spiritual beast. You are definitely not his match. Bai Xia already knew that Yi Chunfeng couldn't condense a spiritual beast because of his soul. He couldn't cultivate soul power either. Therefore, challenging a rank 3 spiritual beast with the strength of a mortal was no different from asking for a beating. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Yi Chunfeng revealed a confident smile and said, Lien Sanjun, how about we make a bet? The loser will crawl out of here. Yi Chunfeng, it seems like you're very confident. Hearing Yi Chunfeng's suggestion, Lien Sanjun frowned slightly. The way he looked at Yi Chunfeng changed slightly. What? You don't dare? Yi Chunfeng sneered. He imitated Lien Sanjuan's words and mocked him. Where's your imposing manner? Are you still a man? Yi Chunfeng, I'd like to see who will be the one crawling out of here in the end. Lien Sanjun was completely enraged by Yi Chunfeng's provocation, and a powerful wave of soul power erupted from his body. Spiritual beast, black tortoise fusion. With a thought, Lien Sanjuan's body merged with his spirit beast, the black tortoise, and his strength was amplified to the greatest extent. With a strong sense of oppression, he threw a punch at Yi Chunfeng. You will be disappointed in the end. Yi Chunfeng quickly took a step forward, and a thunderous sound came from under his feet. Yi Chunfeng swung his right palm to meet Lien Sanjuan's punch. When Lien Sanjuan's fist, which was filled with soul power, smashed into Yi Chunfeng's palm, Yi Chunfeng's skin trembled. A force that Lien Sanjun couldn't resist erupted from his palm. The powerful force made Lien Sanjun unable to take another step forward. It also shattered the soul power in his fist, and he felt as if his arm was about to break. How can this be? Lien Sanjun frowned, and a look of horror appeared on his sinister face. Is this Yi Chunfeng a humanoid monster? How can his physical strength be so terrifying? While Lien Sanjun was in a daze, Yi Chunfeng appeared in front of him and punched his chest with a powerful fist. In this dangerous situation, Lien Sanjun stimulated his body's potential. He quickly took a step back, and his leg spun like a top. He kicked out 18 times in a row, and his legs intertwined with each other to create a shadow of a leg. He wanted to force Yi Chunfeng back. Lien Sanjuan's series of counterattacks were very fierce, and even a Class 4 Spirit Beast would have a hard time blocking them. However, Yi Chunfeng's physical strength could easily crush a Class 6 Spirit Beast, and he didn't care about Lien Sanjuan's counterattacks at all. Pung pung pung. Yi Chunfeng rushed into the shadow of Lien Sanjuan's kicks, and his oppressive fist smashed the shadow of Lien Sanjuan's kicks one after another. Then, he grabbed onto Lien Sanjuan's ankle. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng shook his right shoulder, and his skin trembled again. A powerful force instantly suppressed the soul power in Lien Sanjuan's body, and he was directly pulled down from the air. He fell heavily to the ground. Black tortoise attack. The moment his body hit the ground, Lien Sanjun clenched his teeth and summoned his black tortoise. He attacked Yi Chunfeng at close range. "Chunfeng, be careful." Seeing that Yi Chunfeng was in danger, Ji Qingshue's heart tightened. Her soul power burst forth, and she condensed her ice bird to help. "Break for me." After cultivating the soul-devouring art, Yi Chunfeng's soul perception was far better than ordinary people. The moment Lien Sanjun controlled the black tortoise to attack, he reacted. 2,500 kilograms of strength poured into Yi Chunfeng's right fist, and he punched the black tortoise. Although the black tortoise was a spiritual beast, its body's defense was far better than ordinary spiritual beasts. Even a Class 4 spirit beast would have a hard time breaking its body's defense. However, after being hit by Yi Chunfeng's 2,500 kilograms of force, the black tortoise's hard body began to crack like glass. In the end, the black tortoise roared in pain and directly exploded. This figure, after witnessing the scene of Yi Chunfeng exploding the black tortoise with one punch, a figure that Bai Xia had always dreamed of appeared in her mind. The idea that she had rejected earlier appeared in her mind again. She had a feeling that Yi Chunfeng was that Master Chun. PFFF, after the black tortoise exploded from Yi Chunfeng's punch, Lien Sanjun immediately suffered soul power backlash. Several blood vessels in his head burst open, and a large amount of blood spurted out from his mouth. Seeing this scene, Diwan Xian, who wanted to watch a good show, felt as if a basin of cold water had been poured over him. His entire body trembled, and he was dumbfounded. The beautiful woman who framed Yi Chunfeng turned pale with fright. She was in a panic and didn't dare to look into Yi Chunfeng's eyes. "Lien Sanjun, the outcome has been decided. You can crawl out of here." Yi Chunfeng placed his hands behind his back as he coldly looked at Lien Sanjun, who was bleeding from his 7 orifices. "Yi Chunfeng, I advise you to leave some leeway when you do things. Otherwise, you'll regret it." Asking him to crawl out of the Bai clan like a dog was worse than killing him. If he really did crawl out, he'd become the laughingstock of Pale Emperor City. "I don't like to repeat myself. If you don't crawl out of here, then I'll have to help you." Yi Chunfeng's eyes narrowed into slits, and a sharp light shot out from them. "You!" Lien Sanjun suddenly felt suffocated when he met Yi Chunfeng's gaze. His legs began to tremble uncontrollably. "Stop!" Just as Lien Sanjun couldn't withstand Yi Chunfeng's physical pressure and I didn't know what to do, an angry roar rang out. Chapter 24. "Sanjun, how are you? Are your injuries serious?" Looking at his beloved son lying on the ground bleeding from his 7 orifices, Lien Wansong felt a surge of anger rushing to his head. His eyes flickered with uncontrollable anger, and the muscles at the corners of his eyes were violently trembling. "Father, big brother, you must avenge me and tear that little bastard to pieces." With the arrival of reinforcements, the seriously injured Lien Sanjun let out a long sigh of relief. His eyes were filled with resentment as he looked at Yi Chunfeng and wailed loudly. "Yi Chunfeng, you trash. How dare you hit my brother? I think you must have eaten a bear's heart or a leopard's gall." As the #1 genius of the White Emperor Martial House, Lien Yulong was very arrogant. He would never allow anyone to bully his Lien family. "What? You want to stand up for your brother?" Yi Chunfeng coldly looked at him and said. Although Lien Yulong was very strong, today was different. The current Lien Yulong was no longer a threat to Yi Chunfeng. "You hit my brother. Shouldn't I seek justice for him?" Lien Yulong sneered. A powerful aura emitted from his body, oppressing Yi Chunfeng. "Then you mean I should stretch my neck and wait for your brother to attack me?" Yi Chunfeng sneered. His tall and straight body didn't move under the pressure of Lien Yulong's aura. Today's matter is not Chunfeng's fault. He was first wronged by this woman, then provoked by Lien Sanjun. I think many people here can testify. Although the Bai family and the Lien family were old friends, Bai Xia couldn't stand the 2 brothers' domineering and arrogant characters. She stood out to testify for Yi Chunfeng. "Is that so? I'd like to see who will stand out to testify," Lien Yulong said with a gloomy face. His deep eyes flashed with a chilling light as he looked at the surrounding crowd. Due to the threat in Lien Yulong's eyes, No one dared to testify. The beautiful woman was so scared that her face turned pale. For a moment, the atmosphere was unprecedentedly tense. I'll testify that your brother brought this upon himself. The great clans of White Emperor City were afraid of Lien Yulong's revenge, but Ji Qingxue was not. She released an aura that was not weaker than Lien Yulong's and stood beside Yi Qinfeng. Who are you? Lien Wansong and Lien Yulong came later and didn't know Ji Qingxue. However, when Lien Yulong carefully looked at Ji Qingxue, he found that she was even more beautiful than Baixia. His eyes shone with a fiery light as perverted thoughts appeared in his mind. You don't deserve to know who I am. Although Lien Yulong was very strong and had unlimited potential, Ji Qingxue did not take him seriously and said with contempt, Really? But I still need to know who you are today. As he spoke, Lien Yulong's soul power burst forth from his mind. Billowing soul power rose into the air like smoke signals and instantly condensed into a 3-meter-long crocodile covered in black scales. Its jaws were strong and powerful, and its mouth was covered in dense conical iron teeth. It emitted a dazzling white light. A level 6 spiritual beast. This Lien Yulong has actually broken through to the level 6 spiritual beast realm. The spiritual beast of an ordinary spiritual beast master would emit a soft white light, but the spiritual beast condensed by Lien Yulong emitted a dazzling white light. Obviously, his strength had reached the limit of a spiritual beast master, and he would be able to break through to the level 1 spiritual beast master realm. Sigh, those two young people are going to be unlucky. They are blind to provoke the Lien family. Even if they don't die today, they will lose a layer of skin. After witnessing Lien Yulong's strength, the onlookers discussed animatedly. Many people even felt sorry for Yi Qinfeng and Baixia. Just when everyone was not optimistic about Yi Qinfeng and Baixia, Ji Qingxue also condensed her spiritual beast, Icebird. In an instant, the surrounding temperature plummeted and many people felt a strong chill. Well, who are you? Lien Yulong did not expect Ji Qingxue to also be a level 6 spiritual beast master. Moreover, her spiritual beast level was higher than his iron-teethed crocodile. The proud smile on his face instantly froze. I told you, you don't deserve to know who I am. Ji Qingxue sneered and said arrogantly. Seeing Ji Qingxue standing up for him, Yi Qinfeng was slightly touched and changed his view of her. I don't care who you are, but this is White Emperor City. If you don't give my Lien family an explanation today, my Lien family will not let this go. Lien Wansong glared at Ji Qingxue and Yi Qinfeng and threatened with a gloomy face. What a big tone. If your Lien family wants to be enemies with my Ji family, I will accompany you at any time. But I'm afraid you can't bear the consequences. Ji Qingxue snorted and reported her background. Ji family. You are from the Imperial City's Ji family. After knowing Ji Qingxue's identity, Lien Wansong's face changed greatly. He did not expect Ji Qingxue's background to be so deep. His eyes revealed deep fear. Uncle Lien, Qingxue, today is my grandfather's 70th birthday. Please give my Bai family some face and let this matter go. Don't make any more trouble. Just as Lien Wansong's face was uncertain and he was thinking of a solution, Baixia began to mediate. Okay, I will give Elder Bai face today and let this matter go. Yulong, take the 3 armies and let's go. Although the Lien family was a wealthy family in White Emperor City, compared to the Ji family, the family's strength was far inferior. Helpless, Lien Wansong had to give in. But when the gloomy Lien Yulong turned and left, Yi Qinfeng caught a trace of dense, killing intent in his eyes. Obviously, Lien Yulong was apprehensive of Ji Qingxue's identity, but he was not afraid of Yi Qinfeng and wanted to kill him. However, Yi Qinfeng did not care. If Lien Yulong dared to secretly kill him, he did not mind devouring Lien Yulong's spirit beast and sending him to hell. I'm sorry, Qingfeng. Qingxue, I didn't expect this to happen. After Lien Yulong and the others left, Baixia said with an apologetic face. Her beautiful big eyes kept sizing up Yi Qinfeng, trying to find clues. It's not your fault. If you want to blame someone, blamed them for being too arrogant. Yi Chenfeng smiled and said softly. His mood was not affected by what had just happened. Chenfeng, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. Ji Qingxue looked at Yi Chenfeng with a smile. She had a strong curiosity about his expression just now. She was curious about how Yi Chenfeng could burst out with such terrifying physical strength without a spirit beast and break the rules. Because of the conflict with the Lin family, Yi Chenfeng and Ji Qingxue did not stay in the Bai family for long and left early. On the third day after Bai Shishan's birthday banquet, the news of Ji Qingxue and Yi Chenfeng privately pledging their marriage to each other exploded in Zijin Imperial City. After hearing this news, Zijin Imperial City's #1 family, the Jiang family, was furious. The relationship between the Jiang and Ji families began to deteriorate. The Jiang family sent assassins to White Emperor City secretly to assassinate Yi Chenfeng. Chapter 25. The first rays of the morning sun shone brightly in the east. The deep sky shook off the blue veil and illuminated the earth. I wonder to what extent these two raging flame pills can temper my physical body. Yi Chenfeng was soaking in a secluded cold pond deep in the Baiyan mountain range. He took out an intense flame pill and swallowed it without diluting it. The moment the intense flame pill entered Yi Chenfeng's body, it immediately released a scorching heat that burned his body. Even though he had already swallowed the intense flame pill before, the instant pain caused his face to turn pale. Yi Chenfeng took a deep breath and endured the scorching pain in his body. He began to cultivate the 6 Meridians' divine shield, fusing the scorching medicinal power released by the intense flame pill into his cells and transforming his body. Although the intense flame pill's effect of tempering the body was obvious, the tempering process was extremely painful. Yi Chenfeng's meridians were burned full of holes by the scorching energy. The inhumane pain tormented him to the point where he wished he was dead. Veins that looked like loaches were constantly moving on his forehead. His pale face was devoid of any color. If not for the cold pond water counteracting a small portion of the intense flame pill's medicinal power, the pain Yi Chenfeng was enduring would have been even more intense. Low-grade soul crystals devour. Yi Chenfeng gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. He quickly circulated the soul-devouring art and devoured the 2 low-grade soul crystals in his palms, accelerating the transformation of his body. As a large amount of medicinal power and soul power fused into Yi Chenfeng's body, his cells split faster and faster. A large amount of impurities in his body were expelled from his body through his open pores. Gradually, Yi Chenfeng's body became stronger and stronger. The pain in his body also decreased. After about 5 hours, Yi Chenfeng finally succeeded in absorbing all the medicinal power of the intense flame pill. The 2 low-grade soul crystals in his palms did not have much soul power left. Huff huff, the tempering of my body is 2/3 complete. My strength has increased by nearly 500 kilograms. I estimate that after refining another intense flame pill, my body tempering will be successful. Yi Chenfeng, who was on the verge of collapsing, climbed up from the cold pond where white smoke was floating. He muttered to himself as he sensed the changes in his body. 2/3 of his body had been tempered, and his recovery ability had greatly increased. In just a dozen breaths of time, Yi Chenfeng's weakness had been swept away. All the cells in his body crazily absorbed the thin spiritual qi of heaven and earth around him, restoring his physical strength. I hope the remaining raging flame pill can help me complete the body tempering. Yi Chenfeng took a deep breath and began to absorb the remaining soul power from the 2 low-grade soul crystals. He adjusted his condition and prepared to consume the last raging flame pill. While Yi Chenfeng was hiding in the Baiyan Mountains and working hard to break through to the second stage of the 6 Meridians' divine shield realm, the assassins sent by the Jiang clan secretly infiltrated White Emperor City to assassinate Yi Chenfeng and kidnap Ji Qingxue. Qingxue, I'm really sorry about that day. I didn't expect Lin Sanjun to frame Qingfeng. I hope you and Qingfeng don't mind. Since Yi Chenfeng wasn't around, Ji Qingxue, who was bored, asked Bai Xiao out for a stroll. Baixia said apologetically as they strolled along the bluestone streets of White Emperor City. It's okay. Chengfeng and I don't mind. Ji Qingxue said softly with a charming smile. All right, Qingxue, what kind of person is Chengfeng? Baixia asked softly. She wanted to know more about Yi Chunfeng from Ji Qingxue. However, what Baixia didn't know was that Ji Qingxue didn't know Yi Chunfeng at all. The reason why they had decided to live together for the rest of their lives was because of a deal. Chengfeng, he's a little stingy and a little chauvinistic, but he can give people a sense of security. Ji Qingxue said slowly. Ji Qingxue pondered for a moment, then slowly opened her mouth. She herself didn't know that when she talked about Yi Chunfeng, there was a faint smile on her face. As they talked, Ji Qingxue and Baixia arrived at the outskirts of White Emperor City, beside a white lake surrounded by reeds. A cool breeze blew past, causing ripples to appear on the surface of the lake. The refreshing feeling made them feel even more relaxed and comfortable. Just as they were about to find a deserted place to sit down and rest, Ji Qingxue suddenly stopped in her tracks. Her eyes revealed a deep sense of vigilance. What's wrong, Qingxue? Although Baixia didn't sense any danger because of her strength, she still saw the suspicion on Ji Qingxue's face and asked nervously. Xia, don't speak. Quickly follow me. Ji Qingxue quickened her pace as she took out a black crystal that contained powerful soul power and held it in her hand. Two beauties. Why are you in such a hurry? Where do you want to go? Just as Ji Qingxue and Baixia wanted to quickly return to the bustling White Emperor City, a cold voice that sounded like a poisonous snake entered their ears. In the next moment, from men dressed in black with black cloth covering their faces and holding 4 silver swords appeared in front of them. The powerful aura released by the 4 men made Ji Qingxue and Baixia feel a strong sense of oppression. Who are you? What do you want? Seeing the murderous eyes of the 4 men, Baixia's expression changed slightly. She forced herself to be calm and shouted loudly. Don't worry. As long as you cooperate and follow us obediently, we won't hurt you. The leader of the men in black said without a trace of emotion. You are from the Jiang family? Ji Qingxue asked with a serious expression. From the aura released by the 4 men, they were at least class 6 spiritual beasts. Only the Jiang family in the entire Zijin kingdom would dare to kidnap them and send such experts to do so. You talk too much nonsense. If you don't listen obediently, we will have to use force. Don't blame me for not warning you when you get hurt. The leader of the men in black said coldly. With a sharp sword in his hand, he approached Ji Qingxue and Baixia step by step. Xia, let's rush out. Ji Qingxue knew what kind of danger they would encounter if they were captured. Without hesitation, she released her soul power and condensed her spiritual beast, Icebird, and merged it into her body. Ji Qingxue condensed her Icebird, and Baixia, who was a class 4 spiritual beast, also condensed her spiritual beast, White Snake, and merged it into her body to increase her strength. Charge! With Ji Qingxue's shout, the 2 of them rushed out like arrows, wanting to break out of the encirclement. Where do you think you are going? Shadow Sword. When the leader of the black-clothed men saw that the 2 girls were trying to escape, he immediately leaped into the air. The long sword in his hand shone with a green light, and a shadow, sword chi slashed through the air towards the 2 girls, forcing them to dodge awkwardly and delaying their escape. Beast Illusionist. This man is really a beast illusionist. Seeing the strength of the leader of the men in black, Ji Qingxue panicked. Even if her talent was amazing, she could not fight against a beast illusionist. After using his soul skill to stop Ji Qingxue and Baixia, the 4 men in black immediately surrounded them and attacked them, wanting to kidnap them and leave by force. Seeing that Ji Qingxue and Baixia were about to be captured, Ji Qingxue suddenly threw the black crystal hidden in her palm at the leader of the men in black at close range. A loud bang sound was heard, and the black crystal exploded. Then a formidable power surged out like a tidal wave and sent the 4 black-robed men flying. They didn't manage to dodge in time. 3 of them were 6th-grade spirit beasts and died on the spot. Ji Qingxue and Bai Xia were also affected by the impact of the explosion of the black crystal. They fell heavily and were seriously injured. At the critical moment, Ji Qingxue and Bai Xia ignored their injuries and struggled to get up from the ground.